Let us know where you from. Let us know you here.
Undeniable. Nothing you can do to stop me. Yeah. Somebody pray for me. Pray for me. Say a couple of Hail Marys for me. Pray for me.
Shout out Cuban Link.
Ask Allah to protect and adore me. Pray for me. Pray for me. Buddha put some peace before me. Somebody pray for me. Pray for me. I'm on my knees giving Jesus the glory. I'm undeniable. 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 It says everything about me. I'm undeniable. 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 Undeniable.
What did you get?
A 94.
That's good. AAA Auto Insurance scored a 94 on member satisfaction.
Shout out
AAA
Go
Auto
To.
Insurance.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Go-To. Shout out Christopher Jordan. Shout out to all the homies out there. Make sure you smash like. Shout out to KDT. Project Born. Dayton fans. Detroit. Go.
Coming through this motherfucker. Hallucinate. Yeah, with my killers.
Shout out Mad Butcher.
Through the projects.
Smoking Joe.
And I'm skating on day.
William
Where
Alexander.
you at? Which way you wear your hat? What colors you got on? Cause your ass
D-Minute.
clap. Bam, back to the old me. Rapping with the OGs. Even when I'm sleep, bitches got my strap on me. In my blade too. You gon' play who? You gon' fade who? Bitch, I will shake you. Erase you from existence if you don't keep your distance. I keep you dark if we can get marked off the hit list. Always on some bitch shit. Keep it to yourself, man. I'm self-made, self-paid. Hell, I let it rain. We can tell you plain. We can tell you ain't what you say you are. You ain't hard. You a fake. Yeah, break them off, break them down. This time needs an enema. It's time to get them
Let us
up,
know
red
you're in
them
here.
up, red them up.
We'll give you a shout out.
All the whack rappers, they liars. I'm a villain, I'm a gangster, I'm a rider.
I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat. I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat.
Project nigga bustin', ain't no time for no discussion. About to drop this deadly weapon, Satan too, like I'm from Russia. Talking crazy, we gon' rush you, beat you down, cause you a sucker. You ain't from around my block, so ho, you ain't shit but a customer. Dirty hoes, I'm dusting ya, the rivers where they dumping ya. Stay project boy for life, so ain't nobody that can touch us, bruh. Identify the target in the parking lot, a target roll up on him, blow his brains and leave him dripping on the carpet. Victim to at his apartment, we gon' finish what we started. Ask his lady where the dope, she tell me in the glove compartment of the drop top bins. Then take all of the ends, I'm gon' tell you all you want. If you just please, just let me live. I got kids that got a future, told her shut up for I shoot you. Ain't no women or no kids dying, this is what I do. I can offer you a job, Project Born roll like the mob with KDT and Ghetto E, we underground and never stop.
I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat. I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat.
The butcher called me up and told me come with a track. So I'm sliding through the D like I don't know how
Salute
to
to Mad
act.
Butcher.
Who the fuck want what with them boys that do it? Just load them Dracos and them choppers and let's get straight to it. We bout to bang in this bitch like the blood and the Crips. And got some hoes on deck, so don't even trip. In my Snoop Doggy Dogg voice, I make that pussy moist and leave your hoe staring in the ghetto. She done made her choice, and she chose to get banged.
R.I.P. Ghetto E.
Told the girl stay in her lane. Now she missing, that's a goddamn shame. Who the fuck you talking to? Who the fuck you provoking? I'm in the butcher back cave smoking and fiending for a motherfucking killing. I'm a savage, I'm a G, I'm a motherfucking villain.
I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat. I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat.
Once again in this bitch, splitting the D came to play. Playing for keeps when we creep with that motherfucking AK. Popping that phone, letting them know who the fuck be on the streets. Project Born, KDT, and the Dayton fake. Real OGs been banging
niggas since the 90s, ain't shit that I ain't seen. Another murder gang related, motherfuck the police. One love, killer, deal, death do us part. That gangsta shit, motherfucker, coming straight from the heart. There's nowhere to run, grab your guns and step into the front line. We're only find a few of my kind, busting with the tech knives. Come and test your strength, cause only a strong will survive. We're soldiers from the ghetto, side by side as we strive. Murdering motherfuckers, making money while we mad. Mind ain't straight, body and soul while we strap. Mr. Fucking Fearless, J Gutta, it's a rap. Fuck with me, I'm a G, day and night, pass me the gap.
I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat. I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat.
I'm a G. And I ain't talking about no game shit. Strapped with a tech nine, and I'm about to do some strange shit.
You didn't get down on Instagram. You didn't get shut down on Instagram.
How you think we done for 20-something years? Dayton, family, and BJP put in work like Richard Gere. T is up next, and they real life.
I was just making a reference to the
hood. With a mic and a machete, mean they ready to kill it. Make you bitch niggas feel it. We all get together.
Yeah, let us. Yeah, if anybody got a welfare check on my brother Talib, let me know.
Any pigs out here keep squirming, cause I'ma pick your ass off like I'm Richard Sherman. So you see me on your motherfucking block, you bitches better.
Salute, Cap C, what up though?
What up though, Cap C? Smash that like, we trying to get in the algorithm. We going live here. We got one more track and we live. Park Doughboy Hicks. Building Highland Park legend.
Shout out, Cap C. See you doing some things, man. Keep it up, man. Keep up the good work, man. See you shining.
I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat. I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat. I'm a villain, a beast, a savage, a bando. Black roach, bandana, and a flannel. I'm a G, ain't no love, ain't no peace. I'm a monster in the streets and a monster on the beat.
Wanna upgrade but still paying off?
We got Brother King X coming up. Bet. We're live right after this. Right after we got Brother King X right here.
I bow my head in silence and make me sick to my stomach. The witness
Salute. Kid Vicious, what up though?
What up, my G's? What's the deal?
Salute. Good to see you, man.
Okay. Nah, I'm checking in, making sure you good.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, man, everything good. I'm motherfucking at the lab right now, about to knock this cypher verse out, man.
Brothers out here doing wrong.
What's up? Salute.
Women's homes.
And the kid is right here in the building.
19-year-old boy responsible for
Alien Gang.
It's the best solution.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Hey, Vicious just surprised us too and tapped in. We got Mark Doughboy Hicks in the building. We're gonna just go ahead and we don't even need an intro tonight. We just gonna start the show right now. We live.
Yep. All right, for sure.
We live. We don't need an intro. This the intro. We got Mark Doughboy Hicks in the building. We got Kid Vicious just tapped in. So you know
Kid Vicious right here. Legend.
Blatonio, Todd. I'm J Gutta. What up though, family? Salute.
What up, y'all? Hey, what's going on?
What up though?
Mark Hicks, salute, legend. I was just tapping in to show love, my G. I ain't wanna crowd your interview.
Oh, it's all love. You know how we do it. Vicious, you family. You always. That's what Mark Doughboy Hicks. You family. Now to you on the Discord. If somebody you know's on the show and shit that you want to just say what up though to, you always welcome to tap in. We got Vicious coming on in February 10th, and you know last time we had Vicious on, DJ Los tapped in. You know what I'm saying, just to say what up though. So that's how we roll. You know what I'm saying? It's a family and shit. It's all love.
Oh, it's all family, man. The more the merrier.
Yeah, so it's not like Zoom, like where it's a one-time thing, and then it's no, you can jump in any future episode. So,
much love, man.
brother King X will be joining us in a second. But we got the legend, Highland Park legend, Mark Doughboy Hicks in the building, y'all. And we got Kid Vicious, who tapped in. So, shout out to everybody. So, if y'all don't know who Mark Doughboy Hicks is, why don't you tell him a little bit about yourself, dog? Because I mean, you got history in this hip hop thing. You know what I'm saying? I see the plaques behind you.
Well, man, honestly, I started, man. I've been in the game 30 years. I mean, I started from high school. Just so lo and behold, I started being a rapper at first. Like I think we all had. And, I was so interested in the music business in itself. So like when I would be, reading the Source and Right On magazines and all of that, I started getting interested in the billboard, the behind the scenes of the music business. Now, mind you, this is the early 90s I'm talking about here. So I was at a club one night and I ran into a guy by the name of Sean P. And at the time, Sean P was like the street promoter extraordinaire. He had like 2 radio shows, and Sean P was he still is the man, and I just said, hey man, I just want an intern for you. And so basically I went from, writing skating tickets, he was doing skating parties. I mean, we would hit the streets at 4 a.m. I mean, and at the time I was 17 and I had a good parent family, but I just had a passion for the music business. My parents was like, yo, you're not selling drugs, you're not doing no crazy shit. Hey, do you? If music business is you, do it. And so I was working under Sean for maybe like a year or 2. And then a position came up at Tommy Boy. And at the time, just to educate, I know some of the people that's watching and listening, they don't know a Tommy Boy, but Tommy Boy was like that was like the universe at the time of the music industry. You had Naughty by Nature, you had De La Soul, we had everybody. We had from Coolio, Digital Underground. At the time, those guys were on fire. And so Tommy Boy was like, I sent him my resume.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Royce sign to Tommy Boy? Wasn't he signed to Tommy Boy?
Yeah, yep, Royce was signed. But now, mind you, this is 93. Royce didn't sign until like 99. So basically, man, I did some work, man. Like I did some free promo for John Singleton, Endo Smoke, and like some of these songs, and like I don't want to date myself, but some of these songs, I mean, they were hit records in that time. So I was working records, and then Time Boy was like, you know what? We're gonna give you a shot. We ain't gonna pay you, but we're gonna give you the Michigan position. And I said, yeah. And so at the time, it was Coolio. Coolio was like unknown. I mean, he was with like WC in the Mass Circle, but Tommy Boy, they took a flyer on him. They said, let's do something with it. And so he had a song called County Line. And man, I attacked it because I was looking for, and that's what kids don't understand in the music business now. You just can't go with the well-traveled path. You got to go with something that's not, I ain't gonna say not working, but you got to go with something that's like that you got to really work at. And I really worked at that Coolio record. And man, it was just like Tommy Boy was like, you know what? We putting you on the payroll. Because at the time, now mind, this was Coolio before the Fantastic Voyage, Gangsta Paradise. It was his record called County Line. And so at the time, man, we had to do stuff like, we had to spend like $500 to $1,000. Like, you remember Video Jukebox?
Yeah.
We had to hit the streets. We had to go to record stores. We had to go to, to DJ, to DJ all the clubs. And then when we got home at night, we had to run our phone bill up on Video Music Box, playing the videos that we promoting. So we were doing, it was like, we were like utility mans, guys back then, like the Sean P's of the world, the Lamont Hayes, T the Pimp. I mean, we was really out there. We was really like, we were the internet. We were literally the internet. You know, it wasn't no. You know, we probably just was starting to understand AOL, and so we were like, we had to hit the streets up. You know, we had to go to the clubs. You know, and that's how it went. And so I built the name off of that. And I was at the time, man, I was like 20 years old. And you know, when you have a little success in the music business, then other people reference you. Like, hey, Mark Hicks, hey, come mess with him. He doing a good job in Michigan for us. So then I went to then Bad Boy hired me. So it was like so many different clients because at my peak, I had like 15 accounts, you know, from Pepsi, Bad Boy, Universal, you know, it was just so Wu-Tang Records, you know, it just grew at that time, you know, in the 90s and a little bit in the 2000s. It was a peak, but as you know, I made a transition in 99, which you had just mentioned about Royce, that I started managing D12 because at this time, one of my running buddies was Big Proof. And so Big Proof was seeing the transformation like, yo, you know, like, yeah, that's good. So we were almost like, we were like hand in hand. He was doing his rap battle stuff and I was behind the scenes in the music business. And we had a great friendship. You know, and it turned into I was managing all the time I was doing intern work. I was managing Big Proof. And so this is before the whole, I like to call it the Eminem explosion.
Right.
So we talking about the 90s, because, you know, the Eminem explosion was like 98. I mean, late 98 is when Eminem, he had got signed to Aftermath, Interscope, and all that happened. But during that time, man, we were having the time of our life. You know, we were getting paid to party, have fun, you know, network with people, travel. It was great, you know.
Hey, remember, I used to work for you.
Oh, shit. Brother King X.
Oh, yeah. Damn.
Remember, and you had the record shop inside of
International Records, yeah.
Remember?
Brother King X know everybody. You know
I used to do the promo for you, me and Rock Sykes.
Yeah, Rock, yeah, Marcus and all them. I seen Rock like this past summer. I keep in touch with them, man. I gotta keep in touch with you, man. Damn. That just goes to show you. That's how massive we were. Well, that's how massive we are. You know?
We used to go to his apartment. I think it was on 2nd and pick up mad promo every weekend. And
that was it. No, you know what? That was on Gerald. I had an apartment on Gerald. It was in Highland Park. You correct?
It was in Highland Park. Yeah.
Yeah, it was on Gerald. It was what was it? Park High Apartments. Yeah, man. I had like that was like, it wasn't it was my apartment, but that was like a community thing. You had people from House Shoes, like I said, Proof, Bazaar, you know, brothers that was helping me promo that. I had my promo, you know, I had my promo crew, you know. I mean, we was like, it was DJs were coming through. It was like a 24-hour party in that apartment, you know?
And I know. Trust me, many times as me and Rock was there, coming there.
I gotta ask you just a quick question, because I know y'all, Brother King X knows you real good, but was you at that rave party? I believe it was in 99 with Eminem. I was right there, the front D12, Hush and them was there and shit. Fucking, it was off the chain. That shit was crazy over there. I think it was on Mac. It was on Mac.
Yeah, no, I was there. It was, you know, the promoter was Tyrone Manica. And Tyrone Manica, and it's a crazy story. Like, I'm not trying to like tell other people's business, but at the time, Eminem was like kind of blowing up, but he wasn't like on MTV every hour.
Right.
And so Ty had booked Eminem for really, I would think, I don't know the numbers, for a very, very low price.
Right.
But you know, Paul Rosenberg and M, they honored their commitment. So when that rave actually happened, that was like M was on MTV every hour on the hour. But hey, he still did the rave and he still kept his word. And there was some other promoters around the country that they had got him on the low price, but man, they said, okay, we're gonna keep our word. We ain't gonna cancel. We ain't gonna have no sore throats. We gonna keep doing it. So I remember that. I remember that rave very
That
much
was a
so.
good look for him because it showed like, look, I'm on MTV Spring Break, all this shit, and here I am at this
Yeah.
rave party on the east side of Detroit and shit with y'all with a biker gang and security. You know what I'm saying? The iron coffins in that bitch securing it. Fuck it. I mean, it was live. It was packed. I remember what's his name from Jenny Jones show was there.
Rude Jude.
Yeah, Rude Jude. Yeah, he was stage
Yup.
diving and shit. That shit was wild. It was a good night. It was a good night. I remember that shit. I had to ask you
Culture.
that.
Well, no,
Oh,
that's
go ahead.
Yeah, so that's like a pretty much about about my start, and like you bringing that up, it was like, man, I was really doing good with promo, but Proof was like, man, I really, because me and him was running buddies, and he's one of my close friends, and he was like, man, I need you on this. You've been managing me, but now with this Eminem thing, we getting real, real, real. So we had a situation where my former partner Rico Shell, he was managing Bizarre, I was managing Proof, and it was another guy. It was Ken. He was managing Swift. And D12 said, you know what? Let's put all our forces together. Well, they was already D12 before, before the explosion, but they was like, okay, and was like, I want to sign y'all, get y'all biz together. That's what Paul and M was like, Eminem was saying, get it together. So we did like a 3-man merger of management companies, me, Rico, and Ken. And Ken didn't really last that long. So basically, it was me and this guy, Rico Shelton. And Rico Shelton, he had a great past because you talk about Hush. Hush was signed to his label. Bazaar was signed to his label. Man, it was a couple of guys. I can't remember because he was with that label with Mark Kempf, and
Right.
they had some great success. And what Telepath, Math, I can't remember all the names, but so
Silent Records. Federation.
Yeah.
It was
It was called Federation Records. Yep.
Federation.
Yep. So
Federation, then it turned into Silent, and then ended up turning into just distribution.
Yep. That's what. Yeah. So basically, Rico was kind of, Mark Kempf and him they wasn't seeing eye to eye. So Rico was like looking for better pastures, and I was like, I wanted to change at the time, and so I said, you know what? I kind of wind down the promo company, and we was like, fuck it, let's do this. And so, we managed D12 for like 3.5 years. We managed him doing the first album, and just even during the explosion, because it was a lot of situations where when M was blowing up, he had D12. That was, Interscope gave him and Paul a record deal. So of course they're gonna be very, very promo because that's more money for them, and that brings in, that keeps raising the explosion up. So we did that, like we started that 24 hours because technically speaking, you gotta have big bank, or you gotta have a solid executive team to say you're gonna have a promotion company and do management of artists that's like debuting in the top in the top 5 or number 1. So that was hard to jungle. So I kind of like, I shut down the promo. I took on like 1 or 2 accounts or maybe 3, but I shut that down and I just focused on management.
That's what's up.
I can understand Telepath Man with his feelings with with Mark Kemp, having dealings with him, so I can understand that.
Right. That, I mean, man, it's so crazy, you guys, that we sitting here in 2024, and that time, man, we couldn't even fathom the Detroit explosion. Like, if you like the music or you don't like the music nowadays, but the way, like, these young ladies, these young gentlemen from Michigan, you got to say Michigan now. that's the proper term, because you got everybody from RMC Mike and Flint
Right.
and you know and the Pac-Man and all of that, and you know, and you got guys down here skilling them. So you got to say Michigan. It's just amazing how this state has grew crazy, and you know, it's like podcasts like this, podcasts like these. That's what's going to help keep the keep the music like keep going. You know.
No doubt.
It's just crazy. It's amazing, man. You know, we had like, if you think about it, we had like maybe 10, 15 artists back then that was really making money. But now, man, it's like, you guys, it's like maybe 70 or 80 guys. When you talk about the Danny Browns, even the guys that don't live here no more, like the DDGs and all of that, you think about all of these, it's like we grew like 100 times.
Yeah, we was talking to Herc about that. How like Detroit is probably on top of the game. How New York was back in like the '80s when it first was popping and shit like that. Like Detroit is on top of the game now. Like people are getting along. It ain't that whole beef and shit like it used to be. Always some kind of bullshit, some rah shit, some East Side, West Side. All that shit seems like it kind of faded away, which is a good thing. I mean, it's still there. There's some people, but I mean that's always gonna be there. There's haters and shit. That's just hating and shit.
Yeah, you know, I seen something when I was getting ready, when I was getting prepped for this interview. I seen some stuff that I really wasn't happy with, you know, and I don't know if y'all seen it yet. It's like that East Side, West Side stuff it's overnight. It's kind of happening. I'm like, man, come on now, because you know.
Part of that, I never was with the East Side, West Side thing. I never was with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
we was always neutral in that when it came to that. You know what I'm saying? Southwest Detroit.
Our folks, when they was throwing the high school parties, you know what I'm saying? Fuck, you know. Back then, the East Side had the wildest hoes. Shit, I'm going where the wildest young hoes was at the time.
Right. Yeah, it's getting, you know, and the sentiments I 100% agree with you, but it's kind of like some stuff is kind of festering, which, you know, I'm not happy with, because, you know, these guys are, you know, they making money now. They doing shows, they doing features.
I agree.
You know, and why, you know, why have beef and all of that, you know? But and I tell you, man, and one thing, and I'm glad you guys brought me on. I want to, you know, it's like a very deep space where the vets in the game, like the guys in the 90s and the early 2000s, we gotta like have an open phone dialogue with these new rappers that's out here, because we don't so much experience. We had to deal with, you know, death, people going to jail, just, you know, it's just like, man, why do that? You know, it don't make no sense, you know. And it's like this community is growing so great. We don't need that like negative energy around here, you know?
No doubt, yeah. That's what we try to do here. We try to just talk about, like, we had, I know you, like, from Cuban Link, who used to be from Terror Squad. You know, everybody asked him about Fat Joe. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to, but we know that. So we talked about music. You know what I'm saying? We talked music. He been dropping hits. You know what I'm saying? He just been blackballed or whatever. But we had him on 3. He's like family and shit with us now and shit. That's the homie and shit for Cuban Link. We rock with his whole team and shit, his squad. So we gonna bring him out here to Detroit. We just looking for the right venue right now and shit. But he told some, he was in the studio in 2003. Eminem, and he did a song with Da9. He did a track with Da9.
Yeah, I was probably doing when they were on Loud Records, right?
I'm
when they was
I think that's the name that he was talking about. Was Loud.
Yeah,
like Steve Rifkin Company. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was mentioning about Loud. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's a yeah. Like I agree with that. I think, and sometimes you got to keep the streets in the streets. We got to just turn these into music. You know, we don't. You know, we just need to like keep that street out, that element. It's always going to be there, because where a lot of us are from or whatever, but we need to like, I'm glad you guys had that sentiment, because it's so much more to in depth with that brother that he don't have to be like Fat Joe, Fat Joe, Fat Joe, Fat Joe.
Right.
Exactly.
And that we've had several guests where shit was popping. We didn't even bring it up. If they want to bring it up, they can bring it up. You know what I'm saying? We ain't stirring the pot. We ain't trying to. We want to talk about the guest. You know what I'm saying? You're like what your story and shit, not the beef and shit. Even though I know that's what gets the views, the likes, the hits. Everybody want to talk about the beef, so you can put them hashtags in your Cuban link goes off on Fat Joe, da 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 da, this and that. It's like
more by saying make it way like, oh yeah, he went off and it's like old news. Like that. We don't do that. Yes.
Yeah, that's that. Hey, I agree with y'all 100%. Because this is a culture here. It's like we all are coming together. It's a culture here, and if we can and if we put out great music and maybe possibly make a couple of dollars, that's good. And it's like we have stuff in our community where we have good times, we celebrate stuff, and then sometimes one of our fellow culture people, bad stuff happens. So it's like it's a family.
Right. And that's one thing about Detroit. It seems like Detroit, like politics, hip hop politics, we keep it amongst Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Detroit keeps it inside. We don't spread it all around the world and shit. So.
Right.
But no. So when did you fall in love with hip hop? Let's get into some questions. When did you fall in love with hip hop as a young Mark Doughboy Hicks? When did you fall in love with hip hop?
Yeah.
I tell you, my dad, he wasn't really into music. My dad was like kind of into sports and like headline news, listening to AM radio all day. And when he come home, watching the news. Now, my mom was different. My mom had so many records. My mom was a lover of music and she had everything. She was like, we had records, all the 45s back in the day. And I remember, man, one time she had brought, because, she worked Monday through Friday, and she would go to the record store Saturday and buy a shitload of 45s or vinyl or 8 tracks. And man, she had this one record, Curtis Blow the Brakes. And I was like, and it was like, and I got to say, it was like 84. It was like a little bit. Because I asked her about that one time, and she was like, it wasn't like when it first came out, but she had brought it, and I was like, man, this shit dope as hell. And then with me being like, I was the baby of the family, and so I would always get I don't want to say the hand-me-downs, but my brothers and sisters would be buying records, and then when they was done with it, they would like leave it in the living room, and a lot they were like buying hip-hop records. So, man, from the Run DMC to Houdini, man, I just loved it. And then what really was the steroid of it was when MTV had the Yo MTV Raps. When that came on, yeah.
Dr. Dre, love it.
Dr. Dre,
yeah. When that came, that was like, man, it was like, first it started with Run DMC Rock This Way. And that, MTV was playing that a lot. And they was playing like Tone Loc and Young MC. But then they had a rap show. And I was like, damn. And it came on Saturday. And then it came on every week with, Ed Lover and Dr. Dre. And then one little morsel, it's a huge morsel, I can't forget. I also fell in love with hip hop with the new dance show. We got to give like RJ Watkins, Nat Morris. Yeah. And so that kind of like, so I fell in love with it through really television. Radio was cool, but I'm talking about when we would come home from school, BET was playing rap. MTV was playing rap. And then at 6:00 from us here in the Michigan, we like what happens? We was new dance shows playing rap, and then we was like, it got to a point where we had local rappers going on the show. So it became a point where, oh man, I can do this. You know, I mean, I wasn't the best rapper at all, but I'm saying being in the music or being in rap, I'm like, man, I could actually participate in this. And so that kind of blew my mind. And then, you know, when we speak of Highland Park, a guy who like, man, and I don't get a chance to talk to him a lot. I really haven't. I see him every once in a while, and I see him on the news as Chaos and Maestro. Because, you know, Chaos, he's from Highland Park. Like, you know, he's like a few years, he's like 4 or 5 years older than me. But when he was leaving high school, I was coming into high school. But man, when he came and he was like, it was mind blowing to see a guy who lived 10 blocks from me and he was doing all this stuff and he was with Billy T and that guy like that's you know that's RICO. You know that it was so amazing. It blew my mind. You know, to see Chaos and Maestro, and you know, at the time they was getting BET play. I don't think they got MTV play. I had, but they were like, it was like mind blowing. And so that made it like, you know, and I never really had a one-on-one with him because we would run into each other, but it's always at odd times. But he was one of my biggest inspiration of the music business, you know, because I was like, damn, you know, I could do this, you know. I mean, of Chaos is doing it, and it was just like, and you know, I wasn't as talented as him, but I was like, I could have a piece of real estate in hip hop, you know.
That's what's up.
Yeah, no doubt. That's why it's an honor to definitely have you on and shit. At the end of represent Highland Park. Let the people know, cause we got people from like shout out Capsy in the building,
I want to
Blaze
break
City,
it
D
down about
Caliber,
like Highland Park.
we got people from all over. Like
Some
Highland
people don't
Park.
understand.
Yeah, like it's a city in the city. It's the 313. I mean, you don't. It's Detroit, but it's Highland Park. You know what I'm saying? Is
Like for people that.
Oh yeah, it's like honestly, it's like we always like to say it's like we the donut because I mean we inside the donut. You know, we're around all aspects of it, and you know, but I mean, honestly, being in Highland Park, you do have a feeling of like, you know, we went to the malls everybody went to, but and once again, I know I'm dating myself, but you know, in the early 80s, I would say before the drug epidemic happened, man, we had pet stores, we had bookstores, we had all type of stuff. And I see now I see Highland Park making a transformation like shit. We've got Dunkin' Donuts. We got Dunkin' Donuts. And you know, I mean, I'm just saying, but back in the day, you know, we had that big ass Sears because you know, really Highland Park, you know, it was like a rich, you know, because we had Chrysler headquarters. We had a lot of executive, you know, offices in Highland Park. So, you know, but you know, people left and all of that good stuff. But we had our own community. So that was like it was so we could say, hey, I'm from Highland Park, and we could literally we could live in Highland Park and not really have to go to Northland or Eastland because we had everything in the city. But then, you know, then places started closing down. And man, I was just in Southfield today. I was on Southfield Road. And man, I see so many businesses on Southfield closing down. It really reminded me of how Highland Park was, you know, in the mid 80s. How man, you seeing all these stores on Southfield Road closing down. It's like that's what we went through in Highland Park. So yeah, man, you know, Highland Park is always near and dear to me. You know, I I was well, my parents when I came home I was on Cadillac and Mac, ironically, but my family moved. You know, my great auntie had a house she wanted to get rid of, and my parents were expanding, especially with me coming in the fold. So man, I've been in Highland Park since I was 2. So I mean, I had the full effect of the city of trees. So I've been there. You know, unfortunately, you know, I don't live there no more. But you know, my brother still has a house there, and my sister is over there. So you know, Highland Park will always be my heart. You know.
Hey, remember the Omen?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Omen, Black Birds Chirping, Damon Omen, Black Birds Chirping. Man, I ran across they cassette tape the other day going through my old stash.
Well, man, with the Omen, now I know y'all remember this, so I'm not dating myself. But man, it used to be producing houses. And it was a brother by the name of AJ McGee. AJ was like, man, I think his parents had moved out of the house, but he had a house that was nothing but a studio. He lived there, but it was like everybody went to AJ McGee's spot, and they was like, so that's how the Omen kind of grew, because AJ had a studio where everybody would go there, or AJ would take them somewhere else, and so that's how the Omen grew. So the Omen was like, that was huge, and then it came to a point where it came so big, it grew out of AJ's house. It grew into the Hicks murder, and all of them got involved in everything.
Damn.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
me and Brother King X was just talking about all the shit. He was telling me how he shopped at Highland Park. Like Highland Park, he was right next door. We was talking about the Sears and everything he was talking about. We was talking about that.
I mean, I grew up on Puritan, so that's what up instead of going to Northland way on 8 Mile, 8 Mile in Greenfield, shit, the Puritan bus straight shot.
Right.
Shit, Highland, better, you know what I'm saying? All that was open back then.
Right.
So, are there any artists you got your eyes on right now that you think are dope? Like, I know there's a lot you probably think are dope, but I mean that just pop in your head right off the top of your head, like young artists, new artists.
Yeah, well, honestly, like I took, like me and Proof, we had we was, in his one and only album, he put like Mark Hicks, we walk this together. So we walk in life together, and that death doesn't even matter. We walk in this. So he had, Proof. One of Proof's children is Nassan, and Nassan, at the time he didn't grow up here because his mother, Proof was married to his mother. That was his, and they moved down south right before Proof passed. And Nassan really, it was just like on some Jedi shit, man, because Nassan really like grew his own music roots in Georgia. And it got to a point where he was getting a buzz without nobody. We not talking about no Paul Rosenberg, nothing. He was growing his roots down there, and so it got to a point where he was getting such a buzz that it got interested. It started catching on the industry, and so everybody that's because Nassan has a lot of uncles. I'm talking about from the M, the 9. And I remember it was the 9 was really the first one who was like, yo, that's Mr. Porter. He was like, yo, this kid got talent. Besides being Proof's son, and people not, and people just saying, oh, we got to give him a break because he's Proof's son, quote unquote. He has talent. If he wasn't a Proof son, he would still be a contributor to hip hop. Like I said, people love or hate him. We talk about, all of us on here, we contribute to hip hop. Some people might hate us, some people might love us, or people might be like, who? But we all contribute. So with Nassan, he just kept growing and growing, and then ironically, he got signed to Def Jam. That was when Paul Rosenberg was the chairman of Def Jam, and it was so crazy. It wouldn't even have mattered if Paul was the chairman at Def Jam, but Paul Rosenberg, that he got to deal with Def Jam. It was like a really hazy relationship. He got released. Now he's on he's on a Symbol Atlantic Records now. So he's a great like a videographer, and he do director, but his music is it's gaining ground. So we like he's in the really early stages of his career. He drops videos. He hasn't dropped like a full. Well, he dropped the EP on Def Jam, but with the symbol Atlantic Records, he's just dropping videos right now because that's a fairly new relationship too. So we're gonna see how that go. But Nassan, like I said, I wouldn't dare want even no money from him. I'm just a consultant. I'm like a concern because some people like be smart asses and they say, well, you either a concerned family member or you a music business person when you deal with some people. But nah, I gotta say I'm just a concerned family member that want the best for him, So I tutor him on the music business because once again, and I still look in the mirror sometimes. I've been in the game 30 years, and it's me saying that I'm like, oh God. I remember when I was at lunch, I was trying to skip school and I'm like, nah, I look up, I'm 30 years in the game. So and it's not just Nassan. I try and help out, other artists. I have like an open door policy. Somebody want to call, talk to me and different things. And like, I gotta keep the lights on. So, I still do work with Shady Records on some projects, and with Paul Rosenberg with his Goliath Records. I do some. I get hired to do some consulting work, and I work with Trick on some projects. I work with him on publishing because that's another strong point. I'm heavily into the music publishing game. I know how to I know how to make it where these artists got a pipeline of making money per se.
Well, I know. I know. I peeped. You got something to do with. I just pulled it up. It's halfway on the screen. A hip hop. I'm gonna just read the top what it says. Hip hop industry executive Mark Hicks as legal witness and lyric interpretation to decades long hip hop resume. So it sounds like you're helping young artists like that are getting caught up in this bullshit RICO Act that they trying to throw at rappers and shit. Is that what's
Oh
going
yeah, yeah, man. Well, one thing I got to give credit to is this state because I had many opportunities to go to move to California, New York. So I always been like this damn tree trunk, and I'm not the only one. It's a lot more guys smarter and been here longer, but I've always been a Michigander. So with that being said, everybody can be like, Mark Hicks is here. Let's call him and see what's up. So with that being said, Howard Hurts, who's Howard Hurts is probably one of the top attorneys, music attorneys in Michigan. He had he had one of his attorneys, Joe Belanca. He was having it was like he they well let me they was having this case, the HNIC boys, and they were being indicted. They were being RICO indicted, and they had a federal RICO case, and it was very, very, very serious. And then the FBI wanted to include the lyrics. This happened in 2018. So the HNIC boys, they from here, and basically the judge, and this was the same judge, Judge Nancy Edmonds, who was over Kwame Kilpatrick case. She was like, oh, we're gonna keep the lyrics in. Oh, we want to fry these boys. And so the criminal defense attorney for the HNIC boys was like, man, we got to find somebody to interpret lyrics that live here. And he went to Howard Hurts and Joe Belanca and said, hey man, do you guys got any rap? Because these guys were like, they were just criminal defense attorneys. They didn't know the music business. They clients was rappers, but they didn't know the music business. So their attorney Alvin Salen said, hey, he went to Howard Hurst. Do you got any guys that you could refer me to interpret lyrics and who has who's been in the game? And they said Mark Hicks. So the criminal defense attorney said, hey, he called me up and said, hey, I want to meet with you. And so basically I became on the team. So when the FBI, and once again, I'm not trying to. We keep the streets in the streets, but I will say this: the FBI are very intelligent to the rap game.
Yeah.
When I mean, they know. I ain't gonna say they know as much as us, but they have people on the FBI who know lyrics and they in YouTube clips. They are very much intelligent.
Right.
So they was throwing they was throwing all these exhibits, cut YouTube clips and rap lyrics and so on the defense they needed somebody on the team to counter that because the FBI is very serious, and like we seeing with Young Thug, that's state, but on a federal level, I guess Georgia, I would say they very intelligent too, and so I had to like counter what the FBI and the FBI prosecutors and their team was throwing at the HNIC boys. Unfortunately, it didn't. I would say I helped get some years down. Unfortunately, they did get indicted. I mean, they did lose the case, and they in federal prison now. But I would say that the team helped them. It was just me like defending the lyrics. So I think we helped them out. It was like we defended them. And hopefully they get out. I think they're working on some appeals now, and I pray for those because there's two of them that really got hit with like 20, 25 years.
Damn.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. And honestly, the rap lyrics kind of got neutral. It kind of got neutral when we came because man, they would show us movies like even the urban movies that's now on Tubi. The HNIC boys was in some of those movies, but we talking about the case happened in 18, so we talking about before 18. So we had to we neutralized the rap lyrics, but it was other stuff, that they got guilty on, but we helped the case, I would say, with the lyrics and now it's ironic. That's why, Jay, I had did the press release because I was trying to, send a shout to Young Thug, and I reached out to the attorney because with that, it's an odd situation that when Nancy Edmonds, that's the judge, when she approved me to interpret lyrics, it's not a lot of people. And once again, I'm not no golden child. It was just at the time she was like, "Who is Mark Hicks?" And I had to present a whole thing of I can interpret hip hop lyrics. I've been in the game. At that time it was 25 years, and I had to give her article after article where she read it. She said, "Okay, you verified, quote unquote." And it's only like 3 or 4 of us in America right now. I think it's going to grow, and to be honest with you, I think the legal world, they don't really get it. That thanks to Alvin Salen, he got it, and he was thinking of how to counter, with FBI adding lyrics in there. But it's going to be a wild world with those lyrics, and I think that's really going to start. It's really going to start happening more.
Yeah,
I need to
it's really
gotta know about X. Like that's what comes to mind is like X-Ray to being one of the first, like rappers where they use lyrics against them.
I know a Michigan rapper that I used to rock with, that I don't rock with no more, that they use his lyrics to convict them on pedophile charges.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's different than shit. So yeah, that ain't the RICO and shit. Like I need to hook you up with I don't know if you're familiar with 049 Gus from Southwest Detroit. He was 049. Yeah, well he went he's doing it big in Detroit. Well now they're hitting him on RICO charges, and he dropped a track on he got like 2-3 tracks on World Star. He dropped one called Free Big Meech. And after he dropped it went viral and shit. You know what I'm saying? They got millions and millions of views, so it brought attention. After that, next thing you know, he's been doing this music for a minute. I knew him when he was like a little kid. He grew up with my kids, went to school with him in Southwest and shit. So and they never fucked with him till That happened, and then they arrested him on RICO charges, saying he started up like a gang 049, which is a rap crew and shit. They're not a gang, they're a rap crew. They rap and shit. You know what I'm saying? They ain't no street gang and shit.
Yeah. That is so wild. Yeah, hook me up with them. Like, you know, we'll have a side talk with that. Yeah, so that's
trying to affiliate rap crews with gangs. That's been going on for forever. They've always been trying to do that.
Right.
Yeah, but they like, it's like I said, when the press release, I was like, well, then you gotta indict David Chase from The Sopranos. You gotta indict Mario Puzo from The Godfather,
right.
Because they're creating content. They're creators of content. The same way, like, and I'm just throwing names just coming to mind, like how what Skilla Baby talking or what T Grizzly talking about. They're on the same land as what David Chase when he writes a script for The Sopranos. So yeah, and I'm not saying these guys are angels, but you can't take words and creations and add it to a case like that. That's crazy,
It's entertainment, you know what I'm saying? It's entertainment. The music is entertainment. Yeah. It's entertainment, you know what I'm saying? I remember back in the days they tried that on Nodis down there in Tennessee. It made the news because those kids committed suicide listening to Nodis. And they tried to the music made them do it. Yeah. Like, that was back in the early 90s, I believe. But
because I remember when it reached us, too. Yeah, we heard about it.
Well,
that's so crazy.
Well, Eshon was in the 90s was the poster child for everything that was going on.
Yeah.
Everything. Blame Eshon.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like, but you know what? I don't think it's jealousy, but I think that the feds and all that, and once again, I'm not trying to get hot on here, but I just think that Eshon we all know Eshon was making money and he was successful with his albums, but I think when the law starts saying, wait a minute, these guys are really making money, and they really, when they really start seeing an economy, like a real economy, like they was like, damn, well, let's do some RICOs. And that goes again what we was talking about earlier. Like now, okay, Eshon was a standalone moneymaker. Well, he had his brother James, but Eshon was a money, Eshon, ICP, and Rock from Rock Bottom and the Cheddar Boys, or Wipeout, they were really making money, right? So now I'm just saying it was more, but just say them 4. Now it's like 40 guys in Michigan doing the same thing they did, and I think the feds or the cops, they like, wait a minute, these guys are really starting to make money, and they really not selling drugs. So wait a minute, we gotta figure this out. We gotta find them. We gotta put some of them in prison, and that's what it's really trending towards what I'm saying. That's how wild it is.
If you pay attention around the time Real Life Productions was blowing up and making money, you would hear Eshon talking about having problems with the feds and the IRS.
Right. Oh.
And you notice in previous albums, he wasn't talking about the feds and having problems with the feds and the IRS.
Right.
Yep.
But now you hear it, now he talking about it.
Yeah.
And that, right there, they was mad because he was making money.
Wow.
Think about it. Look how they hit Rap A Lot with a RICO.
Yep.
Murder Inc. and Death Row. All because they was gonna make their own distribution company and cut everybody else out and cut the middleman out.
Yeah,
because they wanted.
It's some weird. It's a weird situation on that. It's scary, honestly, because you don't know. You could be making.
They want a piece of that pie. And
Yeah.
Have you heard any cases about because Detroit's popping with the movies now and like series like McGraw Ave, and then you got all these other movies that are coming out. You heard anything about that? They trying to fuck with the movie scenes like with RICO acts and shit, like because they get pretty gangster on some of them series and movies and shit.
Oh no! What I was telling you, and I mean, I hate that I'm lost. I don't know the name of it, but no. In the case I'm talking about with the HNIC boys, I think it was a movie called 5-0, and it was three Michigan, huh?
Oh, 5-0, that's my shit.
Yeah. So basically, as an exhibit for this case, they took the whole movie and had it as a federal exhibit for this case. So it was three movies. It was three movies from the Michigan, from the Michigan film explosion. But like once again, this case happened in 18, but like during the 17, 16, they because those three HNIC boys, they were in the movie. They weren't like main characters. They was like middle characters, but they wanted to show like, hey, these guys are doing this in the movie. And like once again, we all sitting here like that's stupid as fuck. So Robert De Niro, you think he's robbing banks like in Heat? You know what I mean? It's like, it's stupid as fuck, but they had exhibits about because they was trying to show a pattern of them being like outlaws. And that's what we was trying to say is fiction, non-fiction,
Yeah, because they they'll add some stuff to the story, but they was taking the literal sense almost.
That's what they was doing in the story.
Like, laughing after he shot him or something like that, and it was like, it was for the movie effect, where they get that mixed up with fantasy and reality and what really happened.
Right. And it was kind of funny that I seen Fat Joe in an interview. He was like, "Man, most of my lyrics are 95% fake." You know what he's doing? The conversation we having right here is based on that because he wants to kind of distance himself from his lyrics as Joey Crack from the back in the day. So that's why a lot of artists are starting to do that, and especially they see how like Young Thug is going through hell right now off of lyrics.
You know how he got that name?
Joe
Young Thug.
What about ghostwriters? Because, like, for instance, Fat Joe, we know that Ron wrote a lot of his lyrics. A lot of Cuban Link wrote a lot of his lyrics. Sace, a lot of other artists like what's his name? T.A. His writer. He just came out and started going in on Fat Joe. T.A. I believe his name is, but he's saying all types of stuff. But like if there's a ghostwriter, how can you hold the rapper accountable? You know what I'm saying? The artist who's spitting, the actual artist.
Yeah.
Like Eazy-E and shit. We all know Eazy-E had a ghostwriter. He said, Ice Cube, rest of rhymes that I spit. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't.
No, Eazy was a street for real.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But he ain't write the lyrics, you know what I'm saying? But that's cool and shit. Everybody has love for Eazy-E, you know what I'm saying? We knew he didn't write his lyrics, but it was like his delivery and his presence, and we knew he was a real one. So Eazy-E was like, but I mean, can you hold a rapper accountable? Like, do you hold the ghostwriter accountable too and shit who wrote the lyrics?
Well, it's funny you say that because you got to think like when we talk about songwriting and publishing, when a person write a song, it's like a kid, like what is it, 23 chromosomes from the female, 23 chromosomes from the male. And so when you write a song, the beat and the lyrics go together. So if like say like if Young Thug producer is, I don't know, on the track or whatever, if Young Thug is writing a song and they're trying to bring it up in court, then you've got the keyboard. Anybody who is a song of a writer, because its lyrics and beats are married. So you look on Spotify, you see it's like 6 or 7 writers for one song. And so what are you going to indict the keyboard player or the guy who made the beats because he's a writer. So it's like it's insane what's going on, you know?
Potential accomplishment or something.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn. That shit's crazy how they're doing that with hip hop and shit. But
yeah,
that's fucked up. But I'm glad to see, like, I salute to you and shit for standing
Still have
up
you
for
on
the
board.
boys. You know what I'm saying? Doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? Helping them out, being someone that can help them and shit. Because you need people out there that can do that. You know what I'm saying? More people need to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they still like defend that though, right? Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like they still have, you know, as a go-to guy to.
Wait a minute, I didn't hear you. You said what?
I was saying as a go-to guy, you they still have you on board to, you know, like to defend, you know, like cases like that, right? Or
oh yeah, I'm on the literally. And I pray it doesn't happen to nobody on this phone call. But you know how like in federal court, I mean on the federal logs, they call it like logs. Like if somebody is in Omaha trying to fight a case, I'm officially a hip hop expert lyrics. So I'm on the federal case, but it's not, you know, of course, it's not for the FBI. It's talking about defending. So I'm literally in the system because once I got, you know, Judge Edmonds, like, you know, convinced me, like, okay, you know, kind of crown me, like, yeah, I'm in the system. So they could like, so the criminal defense attorneys could look on the federal site and see, okay, this case, he was part of this team. So yeah. So, you know, my phone ain't rang yet, but, you know, I've got other pots cooking, but yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Professor Griff and many others have mentioned about the hip hop police out there and stuff like that, man. It's like, it's a real thing. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, it's very real. And, you know, you be thinking it's like, it ain't like it's no like, you know, how they, well, you know, this was before y'all time, I believe, but, you know, they had the gang squad out in Detroit, and they used to go to the club.
Yeah. I remember Gang Squad, man.
Yeah,
They used to drive the cranberries and shit. We called them the cranberry cars in Southwest and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because they was cranberry colored and shit. We called them the cranberries when they rolled through. Because the blue and whites, the marked cars wouldn't come down the block. I'm from the old school gangbanging days. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So
okay.
First time I was in the studio was 91 with
the
Young Guns. So I first to live, last to die. You know what I'm saying? So we're probably close. Like I mean, to around the.
Yeah, we close in age, I think.
Oh, okay. So so it's not about the gang squad, because man, what I seen in court and the exhibits, it's like these were like, I don't want to say sophisticated. Yeah, it was sophisticated because they would take like, you know, they would take like excerpts of like Super Ray. And Super Ray had videos with these guys. And I mean, they would like take interviews and they would like chop it up. And so it was like it would be like a hour video from Super Ray, but they, as the exhibit, they would chop down the main point. You know, these guys knew hip hop. They knew the wording, the lingo that we all do. It wasn't like they were like just shooting in a dark room. These guys were like snipers. They knew what to look for. So yeah, it's way more. It's very sophisticated.
Yeah.
Yeah, like G Squad of the internet, social media. You know,
right. Yeah, we hand out. We like a lot of us. Well, not us, but you know, man, we give up all the goods on on Instagram. You know, it's like we hand deliver. You know.
Yeah. Remember Stress, the Big Foe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was about to ask you about Brother King X. Was like, yeah, because I didn't know if that was the same thing as the Gang Squad with like Big Foe, because I remember we was talking about that.
Big Foe.
Starsky and Hutch was part of the Gang Squad unit. Starsky and Hutch, they rest in peace, Malice Green. You know what I'm saying? They was part of what was them cops' names? Eshon threw him in the song.
Walter Nether.
Yeah, them motherfuckers.
Walter Butson.
Yeah, that's Butson. Yeah.
Hope you in prison sucking on nuts. Yeah,
yep.
Butson.
Yeah, hope you Crazy ain't sucking on us.
Got to change the subject, but I got it pulled up right now. Can we get back and like talk a little bit about Proof? You mind talking about the big
Oh
homie
yeah,
Proof?
no doubt.
Yeah, because I see that you were in MTV article, Eminem's best friend and a vital member of Detroit's hip hop scene.
Yeah.
And you were involved.
Well, what happened was with Proof, right? When I was doing these promo, like I said, it was a time where I had like 10 to 15 labels. I was like being their promo guy here. And so with that, and with me and Proof being very close and me kind of managing him, because man, honestly, I started managing Proof when we were both juniors in high school. You know what I mean? Proof was like, man, I want you to manage me. And I didn't know shit, you know. And matter of fact, thanks to Proof, he always encouraged me to man, like stay in the industry, do this. And you know, we both were like, we both was pushing each other in around with rap with him and music business with me. So at the time, you know, when I would go out to New York or LA for business or Miami, Proof would come along. So when he was doing all them freestyles and different things, or freestyles, and he was trying to break it in the music business, I was like one of his executive producers, you know. I mean, T Stuckey was one of his executive producers, but I was like funding, and you know, he wasn't signed to me, but I like overseeing when he would come out with vinyl, or he came out with a mixtape with DJ Head. Um, you know, so it was like if I'm blowing up, I'm taking you with me. So
Right.
with that being said, everybody in the industry, not every, but you know, my clients, they knew about Proof because when I was working their records, I would bring Proof to New York, and you know, it was times where it was situations where like Tommy Boy and Elektra Records, I mean, they were basically like you know, they entertained signing Proofs. They didn't sign them, but it was a point where so it was all hand in hand. And so the guy who did that story that I shared with you that was on MTV, Shaheem Reed, he knew, and I met him when I was managing D12, but he knew me and Proof had a history.
Right.
So when Proof died, you know, MTV, John Norris, he used to be an MTV host. They were coming to town. And this was like the day after Proof passed. And Shaheem said, man, I know it's a tender time in your life, but can, you know, MTV News and me, well, he was at MTV News too. He was like, can MTV News come and interview you, you know, about the Proof thing? And I've always been like, you know, sometimes people get the mic that don't know shit. Can we cuss on here?
Oh yeah. It's whatever, bro.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no,
So you got
don't fucking cuss on here, man. Don't fucking cuss on our show. Not even, of course you can cuss, man.
well, no, man. So they came to my house, and I gave one of, and I gotta say, it was a great quote. I said the day Proof died, 500 people felt like they lost their best friend. And that is true because Proof he was very, man, you speaking about open door. My open doors ain't none compared to that guy, man. That guy wanted to, he wanted to help the whole world, and he wanted to, man, he didn't care. He wanted to, you know, if you mess with him, he messed with you. He was like, hey, he had an open door. And if they so you know, MTV came and I did the interview, and I did a couple of more interviews, but you know, I didn't really get all over the mic, but I was watching the news, and it was people who didn't know Proof worth diddly, you know, talking about him, you know, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's got to be somebody to step up.
Yeah.
And it was other people. I'm not just the one and only, but you know, it was like in a defense because people was like, you know, making crazy comments about Proof in the news, you know?
Yeah.
No, yeah, that was rest in
People you
peace.
could
Yeah, but with
Proof
know
forever.
them once. They might have met him once at best or something like that, but acting like they was best friends or something.
yeah, stuff like that. And you know, man, and it's still lost, and that's one of the things I want to do with my, and it's continuing his legacy, because I am I'm very, with most approved kids, I'm very tight with like Deshaun, his oldest son. He's a very, man, he's the salt of the earth. He's very religious, and he has a foundation he created, a nonprofit for Proof, and I'm on the board. And we like, Thanksgiving, Proof children, and I'm just on the board. I just want to help out. It's no money motive, none of the crazy stuff. I just want to help because I know Proof was very charitable, and I just so we took like what 15, 20 families, and we like did Thanksgiving with them, and we just trying to like do stuff for Proof because it was beyond the music with Proof. He really like stood up for he stood up for this city. So we just want to
You could definitely like promote that out there though, like the organization, man. Like,
oh, the Proof Foundation. I think I should have sent the link to that. I'm sorry.
You can promote it. That's what I'm saying, because that's what we're trying to do is always keep the.
No, wait a minute. I'm gonna send it right now. So we're and we got a couple of things that we got a couple of things that we're doing, but properly, I should have sent the link, but it's Proof Legacy Foundation. And once again, it's really, we want to really, and this is the direction of his kids. They want to help, lower income families, in terms of school, food. We partner with this neighborhood grocery. It's a new grocery store downtown, and they donated some food and turkeys for us to do this event. So yeah, we the Proof Legacy Foundation. I mean, we really gonna go hard in the paint on it, but we just want to make sure it's a concentrated effort to do it, and we just like really, like even in my off time, because I even thought about my new one of my new business ventures, but we still like, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do something for Easter, we're gonna do something for when the kids get out of school. It's this new thing about kids and summer lunches. Like, they're not like, it's like a lot of these kids are not getting nutrition during the summertime because they don't have school in. So we want to work on some stuff with that. We just want to keep it going.
Yeah, Proof was cool as fuck. I know Blatonio Todd is from Tucson, Arizona. He's down there in Tucson. He was up here in Detroit over the summer with Brother Marquise and Dice. They did a show up at the Sting. But Blatonio, he got a Proof. He met Proof. And like Proof kind of he had a bad time on stage. Blatonio did because of dude he was rapping with. We don't want to say his name and give him no shout out, but some shit happened. But I let Blatonio tell you. It was dope with Proof when he bumped into Proof because D12 was the headliners and shit.
Stays with you, like him, yeah, no, he was like a real genuine dude, and it always stick with me. We were coming off stage, they just pretty much got pulled up in the the shuttle that they came with, to go on stage. How's that crowd? I was like, man, I didn't even, but he just like was real cool, kept me positive. He was like, hey man, just, it goes, how many of those CDs came flying your way though? It's like,
well, a little known fact about Proof.
Yeah.
I was gonna say a little known fact about Proof was thinking about moving to Eric because he just wanted, he didn't want to leave the city, but he was like, man, I sometimes got to get away. Because at the time, like I said, me and Rico's wasn't, we parted ways with D12 and like after 4 years. But then the summer before Proof died, I started working as marketing at Proof record label at Iron Fist, downtown. So, me and Proof was always cool. We just it was just different opinion on management. That shit happens every day. But we were always brothers. And so I was working and, Proof was like, man, I got to get away. And, Proof security, shout out to Dolo, Big Dolo. Him and Proof was almost thinking about moving to Arizona. So, and we had, Proof had a couple of friends down there, a guy named Fade, Little Sean. Matter of fact, Little Sean became the music director at Shade 45, ironically. But yeah, Proof always had some friends that he loved Arizona. So I definitely, he fucked with Arizona for real.
That's what's up.
Word.
No,
that's what's up.
No, I remember. Iron Fist Records. I remember being backstage at the state. We was up there with the mountain climbers and shit was back there. We was all back there chilling and shit. I was back for
the school with them, bro. I went to Muffin with them.
Yeah, that was the second album they dropped, the record release, I believe. It was at the State Theater.
Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah, yep. D12 World. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
That was a dope ass show. Yeah.
Cause it was a tour with mountain climbers. D12 after that, the second album dropped. They did a tour with mountain climbers and man, I can't think of it was some other people that Proof was associated with that was on that tour.
Did you ever get the honor to work with Jay Dilla?
Man, I know I seem like I'm Forrest Gump, and all this stuff is verified. It's in books, so it's not like I'm full of shit. Maybe with ladies I'll be full of shit, but when you talk about, I take my work very serious. But with Jay Dilla,
you got the
Jay
receipt.
Dilla and Proof were very cool with each other, right?
They was fact.
Yeah, and so it's almost like if Proof fuck with somebody, I fuck with them. So I was like, so Proof was always like this Jay Dilla, and so I met him. At the time it was JD, and so once again, the house we talking about, the apartment, Jay Dilla would come over there because it was like, man, it was almost like a community. I had an apartment that was a communal place for hip hop at that time to just come hang out. And man, the doors, I don't even think I had a front door, because it was always some shit happening. So Jay Dilla would come over there and he would man, it was something about Jay Dilla he just wanted people to listen to his unreleased shit. And it was and I had the honor of being it wasn't like I wasn't the only one. He had a lot of people where, he would come on and be like, because I was knee deep in the music industry. So he would be like, man, what you think about this? So man, he would come over and just play music and we became a bond. And then another thing with me and Jay had, he loved strip clubs. And at that time, I was a strip club addict. And I'll tell you, man, we painted the town going to strip clubs. I would say me and his relationship was 70% hanging at strip clubs. And in the book, Dan Charnas, that's a great book, the Dilla book, we kind of like, it's kind of like talk about it. And we were like, and I helped contribute to that book to a certain, I helped contribute to the book. And it was like, Jay Dilla loved strip clubs. So honestly, I can't bullshit. It wasn't like I was hanging at Studio A and we was listening to beats. 70% of our stuff was outside in the strip club, listening to music, his music, and hanging. And we all had quote unquote girlfriends in the strip clubs that we thought was our girlfriends. And we was, man, honestly, y'all, we was, he could attest to this too. We were just having fun. We were like making money in the music business, having fun. We from Michigan, so it's always violence or robbery, but we kind of avoided that, and we were just like, we from here, so all of us got savvy, so we would just have fun. So Jay Dilla, man, it was so crazy because when the whole D12 movement started happening, Slum Village was blowing up too. And so we were like, we couldn't really hang because They had a ton of shit on their plate, and we had a ton of shit on our plate. So we kind of it became a little bit distant because it was so much going on. And so, well, of course, Jay moved to California, and man, maybe like 6 months before he died, me and him had a talk. But he just said, fuck it, he just moved to LA. I mean, he moved to California. And it was like so wild, so we didn't lose contact, but everybody was so busy. So with Jay, man, I'll never forget them. Like, it was a club like on 7 Mile and Woodward called Tigers. And that was all like was like our office, and like the brass key, and I mean
the city. About the Sting, right? The Sting.
Huh?
The
Sting. Oh, the Sting.
The Sting.
Was like, huh?
That's Proof spot right there. The Sting.
I know Proof.
Yeah, but
Proof.
You know what? With the Sting, I got to admit,
crazy.
The Sting was after the Eminem explosion, because back then the Sting, you had to have some serious. You had to have some paper.
Right.
And see, we were going to like the hole in the wall strip clubs, back before the Eminem explosion. Not to say we all didn't have money, but we liked the hole in the wall places like on the east side and Woodward, and maybe we'd go over to the Black Orchid.
What about about the Backstreet Lounge over there off East Davidson?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but the Sting was like, hey man, the Sting, you remember, it was sometimes where they changed it up, especially on who but man, sometimes you had to have a collar to go in there. So it was like, but you're right. After the Eminem explosion, where more money was coming in, yeah, Proof went. It wasn't a strip club in Detroit. Proof didn't haunt.
Right, yeah. No, I know, because Blatonio did the show at the Sting. I know about the Sting. That's in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying, over there. So Southwest. I
grew up around the Black Orchid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And look here, I remember when Harry's and Watts was female clubs before they had.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
And DJ Henhouse, we had him on here. He was talking about how like the radio stations would come to the strip club DJs to ask them what's hot, like what are they dancing to, what to play on the music on the radio. You know what I'm saying? That like the rappers was giving they demos to the strip club DJs, like play this, like instead, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because really, this was the format basically. This was like the pinwheel. It was like MTV, BET would play some stuff, and then I'm just like let's say from the view of a stripper, they will see some stuff on MTV or BET or a record store. Most of us went into record stores like, what you got new? What's hot? And they'll be like, oh, we got this Biz Markie record, or we got this Detroit Most Wanted record. And then it got to the point where the dancers, like I said, I'm an ex-boyfriend of some dancers. They would say, hey, in order to dance right, they wanted a certain song. So that's where Henhouse, I get exactly what he's talking about. It's like, hey, I want this particular song. I want this E40 song. And then, it started catching on. And yeah, radio did come in there. They did that was one of their testing grounds to see what's going on. That was one of their science projects to see what's hot. So yeah, and that's how it should be. Radio should feed off of what's happening in the city. It shouldn't be like some corporate guy in New York, who been to Detroit twice in his life. He's saying, oh, I know what Detroiters, I know what Michigan guys want. And I'm talking about from pop to urban to rap. That's kind of ridiculous. And I was part of that whole fucked up thing, and I'm glad I'm not a part of that no more. But you got some guy in New York saying, this is what Michigan wants. This is what they want to play. And that's like ridiculous. And then, And then then you go into the record stores, and some of their music, the top 10 songs, is not doing nothing.
Shit.
Yeah.
You see 42 Doug, he got a show coming up at Little Caesars Arena, Welcome Home show.
Yeah, that's gonna be huge.
He just had a Team East Side and damn, somebody else to it. I think Peasy.
Yeah, Team East Side and the Doughboy Cash Outs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope as hell. Yeah, there's a lot of Detroit out here. He's the headliner. You got a lot of big names on that ticket, and he's the headliner. I think YG's gonna be there. I believe. I forgot who all was on the ticket on the card, but I know 42 Doug's the headliner.
Yeah,
what's her
that's
name?
gonna be huge.
Glorilla, she's on there. So yeah, it's gonna be a dope show. You know, it's gonna be a dope show. I mean, you pack an arena. I was down there at Comerica with Eminem and D12 and them did the anger management tour when they did it back.
Right? Yeah, that was during my era. Yeah, yeah, we did Comerica and then we did Ford. No, we did Ford Field first, and then we did Comerica.
Yeah, it was off the hook. We was right there by the stage on the field, and there was like people, like females, just passing out and shit. Cause it was hot as hell. The sun was beaming down. And like it started with like Lil Jon and them came out, then 50 and them came out in G Unit. D12 came out, then M came out with D12, and then M came out and D12 and Trick came out. It was just we was back there with and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
that was a hard concert. That concert was hard.
Yeah, it was.
Man, that brings back memories. Yeah.
Sold out like instantly, and that was before like Facebook and all that. It sold out like instantly.
Damn.
Y'all think that 42 Doug concert is gonna sell out?
I think it will. I think
it's no.
Yeah, he's coming home. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, 42 Doug, and I think like Babyface Ray and like Baby Tron, they're kind of like
it's hot.
Of course, Skrilla Baby. I mean, as far as young artists, rappers and shit from Detroit that are T Grizzly, Vezo, you know what I'm saying? But Vezo, I mean, he's on other things. He's on that business shit. So is Grizzly though. He's fucking with the. He said he makes more money off the Grand Theft
streaming.
Yeah.
The game.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Well, honestly, you know what I've been working on. One of my current projects I'm working on. I got a project it's called Up North Heat, right? And with Up North Heat, we're gonna have a show. It's gonna be a show on Shade 45, and we're not going to do nothing but cover Michigan artists. Because literally, when we talking here, it's literally no lie. When you talk about Black Milk and all of this, what I said earlier, it's like 60 to 90 active artists that are, and hey, it's still like talented artists that haven't been found yet. But I'm talking about when you talk about the Cash Dolls, the Vay Vanillas. I mean, we could go down All Star JR, all those guys. Like Talibando. It's really so. We really have a community here, and what they gotta really start respecting is like your podcast. It's like because you guys are the media, and that's the kind of the sector like I want to get into in terms of like just like kind of just stepping away, not promoting, not being a manager or a promoter, but like having a media platform. And I think that like it's a lot of like you guys, it's a lot of guys, the Trey Rap Daily. I see a lot of platforms that we need to follow the beat, and we got enough talent here to follow the beat.
Oh yeah, we always had.
That's what Shade 45 is missing is like an all Michigan show, like with all Michigan artists. Like you would think it would be on Shade 45. You would think they'd have a show like that. That's what is missing though. Like,
well, no, it's coming, and that's why I'm glad you guys and like I'm one of the you guys are like on the world premiere. We've been building it. Honestly, we've been building it for like a year.
Oh, okay.
And it's we've had our kinks, but it's coming up North Heat, and it's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be very productive. And once again, man, Jay, like what you just said, we gonna keep the streets in the streets. We just gonna follow talented artists. And once again, I'm not saying, art, like I'm not saying that an artist that hasn't, like a new artist, we want to cover them too. It's not like we just like, oh, it's T Grizzly or Cashed Out or Bus, but they do deserve their props. They've been in the game, but we want to, like we cover Dej Loaf. We want to cover undiscovered artists in mid, but this is going to be primarily, for Michigan, at this time. So it's in the works, and I'll definitely keep you guys. And it's like this is a first, talk interview about it. I mean, we were just catching up about my career, but that's a project I got, and I'm going to definitely keep you guys in the loop.
We'll put that out there for sure, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it. Yeah, we're gonna really. I'm gonna do a follow up with you guys because I really, because I just think, man, you gotta contribute something back to a game. Like, hey, man, I help with the whole Biggie, Craig Mack, the Bad Boy. My name is in the script about artists that I wrote. And I'm like, okay, and of course, I was doing promo for the whole, the first Eminem album, because I was doing dual. I was managing D12, but I also worked for Interscope with a guy by Lean who was heading Eminem promo. It was AD and Renee McLean, and I was like helping break M record, but I also had an obligation to D12. And man, I did. I've done all of this. I'm like, man, you got to contribute something back to the city. I mean, not to the city, to the state. A contribution. So I'm like, man, I was there. When Biggie first got to town, we took him around.
Right.
Matter of fact, Lil C's couldn't get. Speaking of Black Orchid, he couldn't get. Biggie didn't go to the Black Orchid because Lil C's was underage, and the guys didn't know Biggie. We were promoting like Juicy, and the security was like, man, what the fuck are y'all? Okay, you Biggie, but all right, but that Lil C's can't get in there. He underage. So I'm saying, man. So when I've seen the growth of artists, that I want that to happen here. And I do think the artists here, and this is just my opinion, I do think sometimes the artists they don't really know the game. They don't know they making money, they're on a record label, but they really don't know the game of how to do it. They should be coming on you guys' show like they got a record coming out February 1st. They should be hitting you guys up. They manager should be hitting you. Hey, we got, and I know it happens. I'm not like discovering nothing, but I'm saying that we got to get this more. Our music community here, we got to get this more organized because they got to support outlets like this, and then you guys, of course, will support outlets like help them with their records. It's got to be like it's got to be an ecosystem,
Yeah, no, because I mean that's definitely what we're trying to do is
because people they get ready to drop something like our homeboy Black Ice from Frisco. Anytime he's ready to drop something, he hit us up.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, all three of us like started from the same group, actually. Like from the same rap.
Yeah,
so what really this? I mean, we just took a stab at journalism, and kind of thought like, what better, to interview, other as being rappers, like artists ourselves. So that's.
Keep it hip hop and keep it Detroit. You know what I'm saying? But we celebrate legends all over, like the Lynch Mob we've had down here, Brother Marquis. Like I said, keep it lean.
Nip on here.
Nip, yeah. Big V of the
You said who? Gangsta Nip?
Yeah, that's my man. It's Gangsta Nip. Like I could call him right now, bro. That's my dude.
Let me tell you something.
Brother King X there. We're close to him.
Let me tell you that Southwest Psycho. That album is in the top 10 albums. That is and I'm not being. This is not a knock against him. That is a great put together album. It's the greatest rap comedy album. You know that? Oh man, I discussed it, man. I know we could cuss on here, but it's something we gotta. I'm not even gonna go over lyrics for that, but disgusted. Man. I mean, dude,
I'm glad
you know that record is a classic. That's a top 10 album in my book.
Yes.
Hell yeah. That's family, yeah. Nip's family. We got a lot of love out in Houston.
Oh man.
That's what man's is. Esham is man's.
Well, now you know what's crazy, and I hope I don't step on nobody's toes, right? But who came first? Esham or Gangsta Nip?
Esham came out 89.
And South Park Psycho came out, 91, 92?
Yep. And remember, actually, Boomer Works from Hell came out 3 different times.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that album.
They had a version that dropped in 87 of Boomer Works from Hell, then they dropped it again, and then they dropped it again when they properly formed Real Life.
Right.
Wow. Well, you know, and I'm not, it ain't a comparison, but it was like, dude, it was like that record came out of nowhere. And I said, man, who is this guy with his shirt off and his red hat looking crazy as hell? And man,
plus you got that rap a lot stamp behind you.
Get me.
I mean, then you hear where he came from with the Ghetto Boys. You had assassins and stuff that had that. You know,
he wrote a lot of lyrics for. He came up with the whole Chunkwood thing with Bushwick. Yeah, he came up with that whole thing.
Well, I would, you know, I never knew that, but let me tell you, he was so creative on that album that you could imagine. He had his lyrics was so. If I could say his lyrics was so ahead of the game. And you know, he was talking about killing people in McDonald's and may I help you, brother, and all of that. He has some
help that mother.
Cut out his heart, he fell to his knees. Tastes like a whopper with cheese.
See, he knocked the old lady's head to Michigan. I guess that was he was giving props to Esham. He was like, I knocked her head.
Could have been listening. Hit her rest her head in here, walk up to Michigan.
He said after he came here to Detroit, he said he should have been born here though. When he seen how it was here in Detroit, he said that on our platform. Actually, he said that he was like, I should have been born in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Because he came here. Brother King X helped that make that happen. That was in what 2018. I believe up here. Yeah.
Where did he perform at?
Simon's at the Dark.
Yep. Bar.
Like if you look up the video, on YouTube, they still live in Detroit. You will see me on stage with him as a hype man the whole time.
Damn. What year was that?
2018, I think, or 2019, something like that.
Damn. That's crazy, man. You know, y'all should have seen my eyes. I know we recording this because when you said gangster, I thought you was about to say like gank move. You know,
the gang
those was Jerome Bettis
CD, bro.
Crew.
I still get that CD. Murderer killed the Punk in 82 and just not found on. Murderer. I still got that, bro.
Yeah.
Man, you know, and that's what's deep, man. Do you know when we used to like pop open the smell of a cassette or the smell of a CD and you really enjoy it? Man, that's some classic time. That's some good memories, man. Because when you like went into when you like listen to a record, you open it up. You know, and I'm not trying to be like the old man hollering at the sky, but you know, these kids just, you know, they pay $10.99 for Apple Music. And they just listen to it. It's so disposable. We make it so it's disposable. But that whole era, you know, we in where we opened up the tape and, you know, we literally had to drive to get a Gangsta Nip or Sir Mix-a-Lot or whatever music. We had to literally drive, go to the mall, or go to the local record store, and then we had to listen to it. And because shit, we paid $10 for it, or $7, or sometimes $15 for it. So we invest in it. We gonna listen to that.
Depending on the sale at the record shop in the mall, depending on the sale.
Yeah.
And you want to shout outs or like sometimes
when they first come out, the hottest shit. Remember, you used to get them on sale at Sam Goody Music Land, $7.99 all day.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was something crazy, right? Some record stores were well, yeah, you know, some record stores in the hood, they would go and buy out all the CDs because they was getting it cheaper at Sam Goody because it was a loss leader. So some of the, you know, so like our local record stores we fuck with, they would go get 10 of them because it was cheaper wholesale at Sam Goody and Best Buy. So that's crazy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I remember there were stores like
used to be on Puritan.
What was that? Puritan Records or you?
Angot over there on Puritan to live with.
Angot Motor City Distribution. Yep.
Damon Dis on Plymouth. I remember they used to have shit like 2 weeks early and shit. Fucking everything.
Yep.
That's how Planet Rock in Southwest was on Vernon. Then they moved to Springwell.
Back in the day from T. Tucky and Mark Hicks.
We talking to Mark Hicks.
I know.
What?
I know. But that's where I got music from.
Right.
Well, no. Well, what about in Southwest, Danny? Didn't he have a record store? Y'all know Danny?
Planet Rock.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Green Eyes. Yeah, Planet Rock. He had the green eyes and shit. Yeah, we called him Green Eyes in the hood and shit. And Bam Bam used to work up there and shit. Fuck yeah. Planet Rock. It was used to be on Verner down by Green, and then they moved it to Springwells on Gardner, and they opened up a video store next to it.
Hey, Hey, remember my man from the Wu-Tang that was with the cellar dwellers used to be on the bus selling his tapes all the time. 5Bs.
Live Manifest.
5Bs, son.
Yeah. Man. Live Manifest. That's crazy.
Yeah, I miss them days. We want to get like more into the real street promotion, not just like social media promo. Like back in the days when you go down Michigan Avenue and you would see like the same Eshawn poster after every one. Like he put them one right after the other on every building and shit, all the way down the Ave. I'd be like, damn, like Eshawn.
I ain't gonna lie. That poster shit, Eshawn. That was the first motherfucker I seen posters plastered all over a whole building.
Right next to each other, the same poster too, just all the way down.
Hey, that was my specialty. Eshawn had his thing, and sometimes we had to get on the phone calls because, man, one time, man, it was Eshawn, we had our ups and downs, but I fuck with Eshawn. He's a good brother. And man, I remember driving down Evergreen, and I had WC in the Mad. I had WC. He wasn't with the Mad Circle at that time. He was by himself, and we had stickered up the poles. And I was just doing a drive-by to make sure everything was copacetic. And what do you know? Eshawn and his crew is stickering up they going over all our shit. And I'm like, dude, man, I got WC flying in from, the record company and him flying in, and you did took I gotta have my guys go over or we gotta come to a middle ground because, man, so we worked it out. We would have them. That was street stuff that would happen,
That's why they started making us take pictures and send them to them.
Yeah, exactly. Because people would be like, the Detroit artists would be like, I want to say monkey see, monkey do, but if you like seeing Naughty by Nature, a big ass street promo on 7 Mile, but then you're gonna have artists like, man, fuck that, I want to. But it's like, dude, we really are. This is how we we how we feed our families. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it came to a middle ground. You know, them were the days, man. Them were literally the golden years. But hey, I agree with you though, Jay. It that needs to be recreated. You know, all this internet stuff is cool, and we mastered it. You know, we on Discord. We got our game tight with the internet, but some people they don't get it. It's still about the streets. You know, it's still about that. That's great impact. You know.
No doubt. And that's what we try to do. That's the Hood Smoker podcast. We do it for the hood, and
But like, yeah, not
you know what I'm saying?
no Fed TV type stuff, none of the Adam 22 type stuff
We
of
even
like
had like hood owned businesses like
call Vlad TV. I call Vlad TV Fed TV.
But okay, so look with Vlad TV, I do watch it, but do you think that is it a place for Vlad? Fuck with Vlad. I don't know him personally. I'm just saying I don't. But I'm saying, is it a place for him?
Math Hall with him heavy.
What was it? Like, say it again.
Is there a place
I'm just saying, is it a place for him? Because he says, okay, he gives him a mic and he says, "What's your life story?" And he do incriminate some people, but it's like I think we need more, like this. But is it a place for Vlad? I just gotta ask y'all a question. Is it a place for him in his platform in hip hop?
It's a good question.
Trying to, like, people that turned him down. We've even had guests on here that turned him down that said that like Vlad will tell you he wants to ask you certain questions about certain shit that could incriminate certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like and that's I feel like that's kind of fucked up. Like the whole rat and shit. I'm old school. You know what I'm saying? I know that.
Right.
It's I don't know how they're doing it in the joint now. They're probably shooting kites like crazy, but I think that Vlad kind of fishes for it. Like, if it ain't no drama and he asks incriminating questions, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you can shoot him down. I've seen people shoot Vlad down. Like, how you answer a Vlad question. I mean, don't incriminate yourself if he asks you something and shit, but
man, you should have seen You God when he was on there, bro. Man, You God went in. He was like, so at the show and such, you get caught with drugs. He was like, is you asking me as you were telling me? He was like, no, I'm just going by the show. He was like, no, man, fuck that. Next question. Like, he was going in.
And I don't think you can blame Vlad for like Keefy D, because Keefy D wrote a book and everything. I mean, Keefy D been saying it before Vlad. You know what I'm saying?
He wrote his own ticket, bro.
Well, Vlad, I think, just has a different audience. That's what I think. He wrote a book and everything, but like that different audience that Vlad brought him into, I think, is kind of what
I know. Boosie said he makes more money on Vlad's couch than he does off the hip hop. So I mean, shit, he doing.
I can see that. But wouldn't it be nice? Like, that's what we gotta support you guys' platform, because wouldn't it be nice if we could have a conversation, like a civil conversation, without saying, "Hey, I got caught," or "My boy got caught with this," or "He didn't get caught," or "He was shooting out. He was in Dallas shooting outside a party, and it was it was like the police, like." And that's where we was talking. It goes full circle to when I was part of that case, with the HNIC boys, because then they sitting there watching it, and they putting 2 and 2 together.
Right.
That's so crazy. They like, oh, okay, now, we're about to solve this case.
Oh yeah, I know the feds watch Vlad. They probably watch every episode of Vlad. Shit.
Oh man.
They don't have to get in their car. They could just sit there with their house shoes on and watch Vlad. They ain't even gotta get outside in the weather. They could just sit back and have that and just be watching it.
Interrogation.
All right, so who's your top five?
Who, mine?
Yeah, your top five.
Man. I mean, I don't usually answer that question, but I would say off the rip, this is just fluid.
Right.
Oh, and Rakim's off the list. He already gets an honorable mention because he's
right.
Oh, okay, all right. I would say Chuck D.
Word.
I would say Redman. I gotta throw some hometown favorites. I gotta say like Eminem. So Eminem, Redman, Chuck D. I gotta mix it up West Coast. Shit.
Damn, this shit didn't make sense.
Yeah, Rakim would be, but he already honorable mention. Can groups gotta count as two because I gotta put Outkast in there.
Okay, Outkast. Yeah, that's one. That's one. That'll count as one.
Okay, so yeah,
boy.
Yeah, Outkast, Redman, Eminem, Chuck D, and damn, let me just throw one in there. Let me go West Coast. Let me this is an odd one. I'll say this. Y'all remember Threat?
Yeah.
Yeah, Threat. Yeah.
Yeah.
My homeboy they produced that song for him on the Friday soundtrack.
Oh wow. Dang, you in there. Yeah, man, and mind you, man, I listen to all types of genres, but I mean Threat was no, you know what? I gotta take Threat out. Ice Cube. That would be my fifth one. Ice
It's funny
Cube.
you said that too, because we just had Dazzy D from the Lynch Mob, and two of the people you named, Chuck D and Eminem, were in his top 5. You know what I'm saying? He was giving mad love to Eminem and shit, saying people don't give him enough props that he deserves, that he is in his top 5 and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's hard to limit to, but yeah.
No, and the one thing I hate to interject, but the one thing about when I say top 5, and that's why I had to kind of, put Threat in the honorable mention bowl because, man, when I'm talking about rap, I'm talking about lyrics, and I'm talking about the vision because the people that's on my list, they creative is so dope in terms of their videos, they album covers, they are so creative, and they like Ice Cube, America Most Wanted.
Yeah.
Y'all know this. That changed the whole. That broke, man. When that album where he's sitting there, America's Most Wanted, he got all them people, and was that even photoshopped? I don't know how he was sitting there, and the whole
him Coolio and that was him, Coolio and Dub C.
What you mean on the America's Most Wanted?
Yep, that was him, Coolio and Dub C. They used the mirror effect.
See, I didn't even know that. You making me. I learned something new. That I'm gonna have to go and see. I didn't even know that. Damn.
Yeah, we had Coolio's DJ on here, Kiki Smooth. He was signed to Ruthless Records.
And then we've had members of the Lynch Mob.
Yeah.
Oh, they were dope, man. That's a classic album too. The Gorillas in the Mist. The one. What was that? What was their first album?
Gorillas in the Mist.
Yeah.
Oh, that was it. Okay. Yeah, man. The first 4 songs on that album. Yeah. That was like classics. Those first 4.
Buck the Devil, Buck the Devil, boom.
Yup. And then he was like out on a furlough. Dude.
Yep.
That was the fucking man.
That was Cube's homies for real. Like they all grew up together. All of them. We had JD on here. We got JD coming on again. And we had 3 on here from the Lynch Mob.
Did you know JD originally from Detroit?
No, but he the one who did all that. He's the one who did all the time, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was originally from Detroit.
And he said that shit because when you Google JD's name, it'll say that Cube played him when he was in prison and all this shit. He said that was all bullshit. He cleared that shit up. He was hitting me up, coming to seeing me all the time. accepted all my calls. Cube actually called him while we was live and shit. He was showing us the phone. He was like, "Damn, there's Cube calling right now and shit." Like Cube was calling
Oh,
him.
I gotta check that out. Okay. No, man, man, I remember reading in the source when he had got that time, and I was like, man, I don't even think I'm gonna be alive when he get out. And now we hear and he doing interviews on the podcast, and he's a hood smoker. But I'm just saying, it's like you remember when he how many years did he get?
And it was almost
over 20 years. He got 20 something
it was,
years.
because they gave him almost that 24 hours to life from what I remember, and they might have gave
20 years. Yeah.
him.
He's out now.
I remember I was reading that in the source.
They had a podcast. He got a podcast. Him and Dazzy D. They had their first show had Ice Cube and Chuck D. Chuck D's actually the one that put him onto their platform and shit. So,
Oh, now man, Chuck D, and I had the honor of meeting him like in the early stages of my career, and man, he was so like how you just he was definitely, I call him like my mental mentors, but I actually did some stuff, not like some very small stuff in early parts of my career, but he knows me, he follows me on Twitter, he remember me, and that's an honor, man. Chuck D is the prototype of how you be a successful person in the music business and don't have to bend or break.
Right.
He did it his way. Like that time, wait, as I said, time, like that Frank Sinatra song, he did it his way.
You see the untold story of Detroit hip hop?
You said what?
Did you see the untold story of Detroit hip hop?
Yeah, with Champ Town, yeah.
Yeah, that's Chuck D narrating.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Actually, that was going to be
always doing his thing, man.
When we talk about Proof, do you think they did a pretty good cover on it? Like when
some of the stuff I don't agree with, but we in a country where we all, some of the stuff I didn't agree with. That when you talk about the whole total of how they did, how that Proof was covered in there, some of it I don't agree with. But I mean, me and I have Tramp is cool. He's my guy. I fuck with Champ. But and me and him, honestly, we had a conversation about this, what we're talking about. But some of the stuff I just didn't agree with.
Yeah.
And and this ain't like no news breaking. Like I mean, me and Champ, we talk every now and then, and he's my guy. I mean, I've been knowing Champ for over 20, 25 years. But I got the point he was making. I think that Champ, he wanted to tell his story. He wanted to tell his side of things. Yeah. And hey man, we live in this country. We don't know where this country is going right now, but I mean, we all have our opinions and we free to speak, all of us. So I get what Champ's saying. I told Champ, I said, congratulations on your project, because I know he was working on that for years.
Already know.
Yeah, and so but Champ is and Champ is I give Champ his we don't, sometimes me and him don't see eye to eye on some stuff, but I always give Champ his roses. Champ was out here grinding. Champ was, I mean, some of them conferences I'm talking about where Proof was at, Champ was there. And Champ was there on his own. Man, Champ's the type that would spend his own money, and he would go to like conventions and conference. He was really one of the he was really a hip hop businessman in Detroit. He took care of his business, in terms of going to conferences. He would go down to JLB and represent himself in radio. He was a do-it-yourself type of brother.
Right.
This was
no doubt.
Yeah, but Proof, it needs to be not, his sons are working on a documentary about him. I think it's, and I'm being interviewed. Well, I got interviewed for it, and I think that the proof estate needs to tell their story.
Represented rather, yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And, hey, Jay Gutter, I was gonna also ask, and I'm not sure if it's out. Did Pragmatic come out the documentary? Because I haven't seen it yet, but bro, it has a
Which documentary?
documentary that it's got Dogmatic and Proof.
Oh, Probatic.
Yeah, if that's out. Yeah.
I'm not sure. You heard anything about I haven't. I don't know if that's
Gonna
out yet. I know we had Dogmatic on a couple times. He was talking about a
Oh,
project
okay.
called Promatic that they was working on, a movie and shit.
Well, they had they had a that was back in the day when I was working at D12. They put out that EP, that Promatic EP, and I think Dogmatic got some unreleased stuff in the can in the dungeon. I think he got some unreleased stuff.
Yeah, he his sons are doing their thing now too. DUK, Detroit Underdog Kings, Kevin
Okay.
Haley, and yeah, they
really?
doing
Yeah.
their thing. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't know, man. Dogmatic is he plays an important part in just he was always a connector because he started off was Dogmatic, and his DJ House who used to work at Byright. You remember now House is a international a player now. House, you remember DJ House? I forgot what's his Kenny,
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
now he's over in Europe doing all type of stuff, and I worked him a little bit on the Amp Fiddler project. Um, well, when not the one the last one before he passed. But dude, Dogmatic, Sick Notes is his nephews,
Yeah.
and the one Sick Notes had a hell of a career. They produced the D12 song, the D12 single, and I mean, I'm pretty sure Dogmatic introduced the world to Sick Notes, because they was started producing him because they were his nephews or his cousins, but then that launched their career, because I think they was working out of Dogmatic house, out his studio when they first started getting started. And then Signals like they took off. They did a lot of great things.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you definitely got a long history in this game, though. We definitely appreciate
Well,
you
I
coming out and you
know.
share some gems. Definitely, like, I mean, for real, like, and that this doing honorable shit for hip hop, just period. The culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, what you doing for them guys locked up is, I mean, we need that shit like that, more shit like that. That's what I mean. I need to holler at you about my homie 049 Gus because they trying to play him just off lyrics. He ain't no gang member,
Okay,
you know what
nah.
I'm saying, and shit. And they doing the whole RICO act on him and shit, trying to give him like life and shit.
Yeah.
He's young. He's like in his mid-20s. He's a young dude. He's blown up. He got like 3 videos on World Star that got millions of hits. Like, why you want to lock this kid up? He's starting to pop and shit. You know what I'm saying? Came from nothing, and now he's
I'm gonna look him up. I'm gonna look him up. But man, it's just a blessing. And like like say like I'm dating a girl. She don't even understand. I tell them like, man, I've had like a life like Forrest Gump. And I mean, no. And I'm not trying to hype myself, but man, I've been around certain situations, certain artists where I'm like, I couldn't believe I'm dealing with this stuff. I'm breaking records. I'm breaking like historical record. It's not just me. I was just a spoke on the wheel. But I was honored they would I was a part of certain projects, and I'm just like, man, I'm just so happy that I contribute to hip hop. And it's just like an honor to be just like, helping hip hop get exposure to the world. So I mean, it's cool, man. Hey, man, and I thank you guys for hosting me, and we definitely gonna talk, and I'm gonna talk to you a little bit more about Up North Heat.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, because I
We want him back for sure, man. Like definitely hope you had a good time with us too, man. Just like
Oh man, I
do it
loved it, man. I
do it
gotta shout
different.
out my boy. Y'all asked earlier. I am doing some consultant work with this guy, Scony Sinatra. I'm gonna send y'all his video and have y'all check it out. And then my boy Tito6 from Flint. Them some two guys I'm rolling with. But I'm cool with everybody. Oh, but them like some projects like I got hands on with. But yeah, man, we just man, this is great. We sitting here on a Saturday night, in hip hop and talking about the culture we all are part of,
Yes, it is. Yeah. We got, and also we got some Proof Sons music that you said that lined up to play. We gonna play after the interview.
Okay.
We gonna play that.
Perfect, man.
Yeah, we got to honor, rest in peace, Big Proof forever. You know what I'm saying? It's Detroit, fucking royalty. You know what I'm saying? Fucking so.
Yeah, it would sometimes I'll stop and think like the current music. And like I said, I don't know you guys' taste, but I think I think we've got like mutual taste. But love or hate, some of these artists, it's just amazing how they are growing and doing national tours now and getting deals and like back in our era, we could count like on both hands of people that were on major labels or they had like a proper budget. That's what I'm saying. You got to give, I don't care if whatever decade it is, you got to give an artist a proper, you got to give them a proper field. And like now you see the industry is now like investing into into the Michigan market. And that's great, man. So, I know Proof would be smiling about the developments of everything, how now we're getting noticed.
Yeah, I like how you said that to the Michigan artists, not just Detroit, because it's like there's so much talent in so many different cities. I mean, all through Michigan, like we said earlier and shit. So start saying that more than just Detroit artists, but Michigan artists. Murder.
Oh no, you know what? I am totally, and I'm saying this and it's just a slip, but I'm totally away from that Detroit thing. It's Michigan. You got damn Queen Naija is from Lincoln Park.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's everywhere. And honestly, this project, this Up North Heat, I had to literally study, the whole Michigan scene. Like from the rooter to the tutor. I don't care. Like, man, I spent so much time on YouTube. I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about people who had 5 views, the people who had 20 million views. I had to really study, and it's like it's a Michigan. It's like Michigan is monolithic. You can't say Detroit. And I know and once again, we not on no negative stuff, but I seen some guy was talking about Flint was copping Detroit style. I'm like, man, now we going reversal, but no, we can't do that. We gotta all stand as one in Michigan,
I know you talk about. Yeah, that's what we mean. We don't try to we ain't trying to separate Michigan music. You know what I'm saying? This is the best time Michigan's ever seen in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? We were like, you came up in the '80s and all that. You see how it was like just New York was getting played. You know what I'm saying? It was hard for like rappers even in the '90s. You would get on the mix show or something, but to get your music put on rotation throughout the whole day in Detroit, it was hard to be a Detroit rapper and get your music played. So yeah.
Man, speaking of that, Champtown was one of the only ones who got added during the Eat with not Doodah Dippity, but damn, the one he had with Cool Herc and his female artist. Yeah, that was hard to do, man. It was like even like Esham and Eminem was like, very had a sour taste in their mouth about, Detroit radio, So yeah, man, that was hard to do, but but hopefully, well, no, it's gonna happen. Platforms like this, platforms like I'm developing. Hopefully, we don't have to go to that because I tell you this, and it's once again, this is the words of Mark. It's not you guys. Somebody could be on JLB right now, getting a ton of spins, and that person who's on Spotify or YouTube or they will get more buzz. So just because you on JLB and you got a top 5 record, that don't mean nothing no more. That don't mean nothing. Usually, radio budgets used to be $50,000-$100,000 across the country. Wherever. I don't want to get into the whole details of what that $100,000 was for, but man, now that's like pissing in the wind. If you say, "Oh, I got a radio budget in Michigan for $40,000," you could like buy ads on on hood smokers or a platform and advertise. That's why would you wouldn't even. Radio is not, and this is a man who, I'm not bitter. A radio had did a lot for my family, and it took care of me, and hey man, I was blessed to do this my whole life. But it's like radio is kind of like, going out the way of disco.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's your analogy, your comparison.
Yeah, like my 20-year-old son, he don't listen to the radio. He's listening to NBA YoungBoy and shit like that. People they don't play on the radio, you know what I'm saying? But they get way more plays and shit. Like I can't think of all their names, but I mean, it might not be my cup of tea, but I mean, I know my pop's music wasn't always my cup of tea neither and shit when I was growing up. I mean, fucking. So it is what it is. I mean, NBA YoungBoy's tight, you know what I'm saying? I think, and I like what he's doing. It's just I got opinions about him. I'm not gonna express them over here right now, but some of his music, maybe it's because I listen to it all day when my riding with my son. You know what I'm saying? He's always playing YoungBoy. And I'm like, but in Detroit, 4-2 Doug and Baby Tron, he just plays the shit out of him, and he's about to be playing the shit out of Nissan because I'm about to put him up on it. So after we get that shit. So.
But you got to think too, man. And I don't want to be long winded, but you got to think right. We talk about like Rakim, and Rakim, man. It took them 12. It took them like to make 12 songs that we could listen to and we can go into the record stores. It took them like 2 years to drop an album. Like or maybe a year, like a EPMD or rock. It took like a year. Now, but you got NBA YoungBoy, and once again, this is the microwave music. Now, NBA YoungBoy makes he put out 100 songs a year. Yeah. Literally, he puts out I'd say maybe 50 songs a year.
Yeah. No,
I want to drop a record, and Michigan do that too. I can't lie. It's some Michigan artists that they just drop every few weeks. They drop. And so yes, it's like,
man, back in the day with the tapes.
Huh?
Ain't that how Esham was doing back in the day with the tapes?
Shit, remember No Limit was doing that. Like every week a new No Limit record was coming out and shit. No Limit was doing that shit. Like every week, every 2 weeks they would drop. It'd be a new artist, but it'd be like a compilation album every No Limit and shit. And we had Serve on here, Lil Rick. I mean, the No Limit definitely holds a spot in hip hop history and shit. I mean, most definitely. I mean, so shout out to them too, Serve on and Lil Rick. But yeah, they was doing that same thing though. They was dropping that album after album like crazy. Like, damn, they got to go get that new No Limit joint and shit that just dropped. Did they just drop one last week? Yep, they got another one. Like, but yeah, he shot.
Well, all right. Now, once again, I never worked for No Limit. That's one of the. But I heard allegedly, and I use allegedly. I heard Master P was a smart businessman, and he would go into the hoods and say, like, for instance, if Jay got a record that's ready to go, he'd be like, man, look, I'll give you such and such money, give you a No Limit chain, and welcome to No Limit. And then he would take that record to Priority and distribute it. You know what I mean? That's like some, he would like say, hey.
Got Mystical allegedly that he rolled up out of him and was like, you need to be over here with us and shit. Mystical was about to drop, and that's how Unpredictable came about and shit. So.
That's how he did when Young Bleed. He heard how you do that there on the radio. It was already out. And he took it and made a remix and took it to Priority.
Yeah, Young Bleed, he be out here in Detroit and shit. I know he was out here doing his thing. not too long ago.
Man, I had a person, I'm not gonna say their name, but they said, man, I wish I had like a box of contracts in the trunk of my car and could get out and just sign somebody. I said, man, you know what I mean? I don't believe it. That's unethically not me, but man, that's Master P. Not allegedly, that's what Master P was doing. He'd say he was having the trunk of his car, and you know, he was like, "Hey, you want to get? Hey, here go a chain. Hey, I'm gonna FedEx this master album to priority." He wasn't doing nothing illegal or nothing. It was just, hey, it was like that's how he kept the assembly line going, you know.
Shit, Snoop said he taught him the game, like the business part of it. He said Snoop said he ain't know the business side of hip hop till he got with No Limit. Master P taught him that, like the
Yeah.
business shit. So he was a smart businessman for sure. Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
He
But is there anybody that I know you've been around like millions of stars? Have you ever been? Is there like one person, like anybody that you were like starstruck by? Because I mean, like you've been. I know it's you got to be on that level. You know what I'm saying? But is there anybody you like met that you were like, damn, I can't believe I met this person. Like I'm chopping it up with this person right now.
Oh man. Honestly, man, it was to be honest, and I know I'm kind of like not being, man, it was Biggie, to be honest with you, man. Biggie was something that, like, when I first met him, it was, see, we was on a promo run. Like I told you, this was like when Juicy was out. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't so hot, you know, he was building. And
Yeah,
I
like
just remember that you know, I was just, you know, we were on promo runs, and you know, we was going to Chantonique's, Damon's, you know, we was just on a promo run. But then when he passed away, and how much of a a shift he created in hip hop, I was like, damn, I was around Biggie. You know, it was like, you know, you wake up, and we had moments, because tell you this, to keep it real with you, besides Michigan artists like the M's of the world and all this, it was two people that it was an honor they knew my name, and that was Coolio and Biggie. I mean, literally, Biggie would say, you know, because he would come here frequently because Detroit was a hotbed for him. That's why he always mentioned Detroit in songs. And I remember, like, I remember going into the St. Regis Hotel, and I was walking in, and Biggie was right there. He's like, "Hey man, what's up, Mark?" I was like, "Damn, you know my name." I mean, I'm just saying that. So that was like a starstruck moment. I was like, "Damn." But most of the artists, 20% of them were assholes, to be honest. I'm not gonna name names, but they were assholes. You know, they were like they lived up to being I don't give a fuck type of people. But
Some
you know,
people you
people
wish you
who
were just
really,
a fan of and never met them and shit, and just stayed a fan of their music and never met them in person. There's people like that, because then it kind of changes your idea of like their music after that. Like when you meet somebody that you're a fan of, that you like their music, then you meet them in person, you hanging out, partying with them, and they're like a dick. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna name no names neither and shit, but I know a couple people like that in the Detroit area and shit. So,
I got a quick story for you, right?
Okay.
Once again, I got my indica, you know.
okay. That's what
In
I
honor
like.
of the, you know, I got it right here. But no, I was downtown, right? This is a quick story, and it was this rapper. He was a very popular rapper, and we had to go do, we were scheduled to do an interview at Windsor, because that was part of my area. You know, the Windsor, I was it C Jams. It was that Windsor College Station or whatever.
CJ,
So we going, huh?
The L Don used to work for that. CJ.
Yeah, and it's that one girl, what's her name? Man, that girl, she was a looker too. I forgot her name. But anyway, we was going to do her show. Now this artist he didn't want to leave the weed in the hotel.
Wow.
He wanted to keep it on him. And so he had an ounce of weed, and I was like, dog, you gotta, you can't have it. And I was in my car. So we were in my car about to head to the tunnel because he was in a hotel downtown. And he was like, man, I'm just going to stash it in your car. Because I was like, man. And I said, what? And I stopped the car. I was like, dude, this $1,000 or whatever they were paying me at the time. I was like, it ain't enough. So this guy thought he was going to take the weed. And he had literally, I had a truck at the time. And he was like, stashed it in the in the back seat. He was sitting in the back seat, and he had an ounce of fucking weed, and he wants to like, fuck it, we gonna go and do this interview, and I'm just gonna stash the weed in your car. And I was like, dude, do you know we're about to go into another country?
Dogs gonna be.
And we about it. I said, man, well, hey, dude, you guys got to take a bus, or you guys got to take a cab across, because I can't do it. That was where it was like a limit, and he's like, man, I think to this day he don't fuck with me. I mean, because we had like a standoff. I'm like, but no, I ain't gonna, whatever it is paying me, I'm not gonna do that for no ounce of weed in my car and across the border. What the fuck,
Detroit,
man?
you got to worry about crossing this when you get over there to Canada. They always, if you go to Detroit, they shooting you. Go to immigration. Pull over there, sir. Pull over there. Like, damn. And then the dogs, strip search, all that shit. It's like, damn.
Yeah. Because you're right. Because when you get to on the Detroit border, hey, it's $3, $4, $5. They'll take your money and you go in the tunnel. But then when you get on that tunnel, when you get out of that tunnel, boy,
no turning back.
To Canada, man.
Once you get off on that exit, ain't no turning back. Once you start heading that way, it's you got to go through with it. I had some experiences getting turned around, but it was because I was a felon and shit. They're like, so you've been in prison in America. You're like, you can't come over here and shit. We was just trying to go to the duty-free shop, you know what I'm saying, and get some liquor because the bars was closed. So we got our liquor, we ain't give a fuck, and they let us keep it too, so. He was like, fuck, and we was drunk as hell and they ain't do shit. So we went back to Detroit. We was like, we weren't trying to come to Canada anyways and shit. We thought we'd go to duty free shop, grab us some liquor, because we knew that bitch was open 24/7. And they made us go across the border, so we got pulled over by Canada and shit. And they like, what you doing here in Canada? They ran our names, all that shit. They like, you been to prison in Michigan or America, in the United States, you can't be here. Like, all right, I don't want to be here anyways. No shots at Canada. I know we got Canada in the building. I see y'all. Comic and D Cochran. I see y'all from Canada. We got some Canadian fans in the building. No, I'm just saying that's how they do it though. It's like that. And now we go to
I remember I was at the casino, the Windsor Casino, and I was on my way back. And this was like, okay, they take your money on Windsor, but when you coming back, man, they pulled me over. They was like, they just did. The lady didn't feel my vibe. She said, "Sir, go over to there, and we want to look at your car." I was clean. Only thing I had like just lost my ass at the casino. That was it. But it was a guy. Man, they was going through his car. They was ripping it, and he said, "Man, I did all this shit for 4 cigars." Like some Cubans or something. He like, huh?
I was saying, so some Havanas. He had some Havanas.
Yeah. And they found him in the bag because he was out. Because I got out the car and I was next to him and they was going through our cars and he was like, they said, "Oh, you got these cigars?" And it was like when they found them, the cigars was just on his seat, but he didn't declare them. And so when they found that, they went to work. They went to town on his whole car. They was ripping his shit up, And I'm like, man, he's like, all this for 4 fucking cigars.
That's fucked up. Yeah, they don't play. Shit, I got stuck over there because I stayed the night at a hotel because the club was at the room. We ain't want to go back with the ride, and then the ride came back. Tried to come back to get us the next day, and they got turned around at the border, same type of shit on some felony shit. But we didn't get stopped on the way in, and we're staying. We drunk at the bar. We're staying the night at the hotel in Canada. Come get us in the morning. We got stuck over there. We tried to walk across the bridge. We're like, we just trying to get over there to Del Rey and shit. We live in Southwest. They was like, "No, you can't walk across the bridge." Like, we just tried to get right over there. But no, it was definitely an honor having you on here, bro. Is there any like anything you want to plug, any shout outs or anything? I want to make sure and how people can get at you and like all that.
No, man. I definitely, with God's willing, I want to be a returning guest, and I'm consulting with this artist, Scony Sinatra. You can look him up on Instagram, and I'm gonna shoot you guys some of his music, and I got this Up North Heat situation going, and one of my other clients is Nick's Chips, the hot corn chips. I rock with them tight, and that's about it, man.
Oh, them my chips, Knicks.
Oh yeah, yeah. I do. I'm like over there. I help with the marketing. So yeah, man. That's all it is, man. I'm just living the life, man.
Especially them boys.
That's what's up. Yeah, it was definitely an honor coming on, and we definitely look forward to having you on again too. Most definitely. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it was a dope ass interview. You dropped some gems. You know what I'm saying? You shared some dope ass stories. We appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? You dropped some.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Thank you.
And it was good.
I really appreciate.
Good seeing you at
We gotta catch up, man. Yeah, we're gonna share it. Yeah, when we get offline, we'll get each other's numbers and we'll make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all. That's it. Okay.
We want to get a couple tracks in, so those 2 songs you sent us, so we gonna play those from Proof Son. So much love for coming on. That's Mark Hicks, y'all, Doughboy, the legend, Highland Park, Detroit, Michigan music. You know what I'm saying? Much love, family.
All right, y'all.
Much love.
Much love, y'all.
That's Mark Hicks, y'all. It was definitely on. He dropped some gems on here, though. He was definitely I learned some stuff that I didn't know about him. You know what I'm saying? I've known who Mark Hicks was. I know Brother Kid Gas. You known him for way longer than me, but I've known him for a minute. I didn't realize how plugged in the music business he really was. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't hip, and I'm glad I am now and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So I used to work for him.
Right, I know that. That's what we were talking about that earlier today and shit. I was like, damn, that's what I was saying. He started talking about the same exact shit you were saying. Like, that's where we used to go shop, Highland Park, the Sears. I was like, all them spots, you name it. Brother King S was just talking about them earlier. Shout out to Highland Park. Shout out to HP. You know what I'm saying? We got love for Highland Park. But we got Proof Son's track. I wasn't up on the sign. This called Rich People. Have you heard Proof Son rap?
I personally haven't, but no, I want to.
I'm anxious to hear it.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm about to play it right now. This is a sign. It's a video.
To come on with us too.
Yeah, no doubt. We definitely. I'm gonna get at him. Or one of us can get at him. We definitely gonna get at him and shit. The sign. If you're watching this, we gonna be hitting you up and somewhere we gonna get it. We'll have Mark Hicks get at you for you. How about that? But shout out to the sign, Big Proof Forever. You know what I'm saying? This Detroit hip hop. But I think he said the sign actually wasn't from Detroit, right? He grew up somewhere else.
Yeah.
With
Atlanta connection, if I'm not mistaken. He was talking about Atlanta. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen to sign, Rich People. Y'all make sure you check it out on YouTube. That's NASAAN, Rich People. Let's get it on the Hood Smoker Podcast. Stop that before that get to play and then we get took down. That's the side. We got another one too rubbing off. And before I forget, shout out to Kid Vicious for hopping out. We didn't even do the intro this time. We just I just had to go live. We had Vicious on here too. And Mark Hicks popped out. I'm like, we gotta go live. Shout out Kid Vicious. Make sure February 10th, I got the event page pulled up, you know what I'm saying? So I don't got it pulled up right this second, but make sure you check that out. The Kid go say you're going. Just go click going. It helps. It helps in getting the algorithm. But Kid Vicious will be here on February 10th, Saturday Night Live for the Hood 2024 Hood Smoker Podcast. He's back with a surprise pest host appearance. You know what I'm saying? And
it just makes sense.
Right. It only does. Let me pull this picture up that you, Blatonio. Why y'all gonna report my brother's page till it gets taken down, and then ask me if his page has been taken down?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got some different.
Yeah. But who we got next coming up? I believe we're going back to the West Coast again with it. We back on the West Coast with Mr. CR.
Yep.
Yeah, back to the West Coast, back to Cali with it. And the Detroit Lions are playing. I forgot. I was going to talk football with Mark Hicks. Yeah, the Lions are playing the LA tomorrow night. So Stafford's coming back. I like Stafford. You know what I'm saying. I met Stafford, chopped it up with him, been to his career. You know what I'm saying. But sorry, Stafford, we gonna have to take your head off and shit. Detroit's showing out. We win, dog. If Detroit wins the playoffs, they gonna act like we won the Super Bowl if we win a playoff game for real. That's how it is here in Detroit, dog. They gonna celebrate down there, and it's supposed to be cold as fuck, but I guarantee you, everybody's still gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gonna show up. And then we got. I'm just looking at all these flyers. We got Cracker B coming up, but I think we got somebody in between Cracker B. Let me see. We got Charlie Knight, and we got Saint B will be joining Charlie Knight in studio with him, so he'll be on that show. And then we got them damn twins on February 3rd. Shout out to the SPC. Shout out to H-Town. That was dope. That when we brought up Nip, Mark Hicks was a Nip fan. We got Sloan Bone coming back for another interview February 17th, y'all. You ready for that? The Bone Thugs family. We got that boy Dirty Miami in the building. It's coming back. So we got some dope shows coming up, you know what I'm saying? So I told you 2024, we killing them. And yo, check out the last episode of 2023. Yeah, Dice signed. Talking about the Detroit verses. What y'all think about the Detroit verses?
Whoever.
Dice said whoever. Who want to do a verses? Whoever.
Whatever.
Oh man,
a clip with Dice.
you gotta
calls out everyone in Detroit for a verses.
But the King X.
I already did that. I did that already 2 or 3 years ago. Doing that time. Doing the master.
Shout out to Dodd too.
There you go. He gonna hit him with the
shout out to man.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, I played a little bit. Go check out that interview. That was a dope interview. That was the last one we did in 2023. 2024, we just started it up, and we had 3. We did 3 right off rip: Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. We was on the West Coast, but it's just funny. We was on the West Coast, and now then we going back to the West Coast, and the Lions is playing LA. It's all good. But I asked Dazzy D who he was going with it, and I believe he said the 49ers. So he rocking with the Bay. I believe he said, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he didn't pick the Rams. He did slip us a little bit and was like, what happened last time the Rams played the Lions? You know what I'm saying? So it's a different team there, though, Dazzy D. Shout out to Dazzy D. Shout out to the Lynch Mob. You know what I'm saying? Salute, family.
Word.
But let's jump into this next track called Rubbing Off by Nassan on the Hood Smokers Podcast. Let's get it.
Man.
Track, tell you happy with it. No, I'm not stressing, mama. As long as them racks in, I don't give a fuck with the racks in, mama. Emotional rap friends, I said fuck them and gave them the backhand, mama. I'm not a pedestrian, mama. Thrilling hoes like Jackson, mama. I crimped up my left hand, mama. Counting all of these blessings, mama. Using God as my weapon. I remember we used to get deep and just slide to the west end. I was trying to be like my brethren. I was trying to fuck on my best friend. I was starting the morning up, get money rubbing. That street nigga rubbing, that street nigga jugging. Now we bout to jump it up, Porsche, we jumping up, we bout to shoot. Now I'm the golden one, get money rubbing off, influence rubbing off, fucking these hundreds. I got my shit jumping up, I only wanna talk about it. Starting the morning up, get money rubbing. That street nigga rubbing, that street nigga jugging. Now we bout to jump it up, Porsche, we jumping up, we bout to shoot. Now I'm the golden one, get money rubbing off, influence rubbing off, fucking these hundreds. I got my shit jumping up, I only wanna talk about it.
Sign, rubbing off. That's proof, son. Rest in peace, proof. Big proof forever, you know what I'm saying?
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
J Dilla too. Southwest Tees. Man, rest in peace, all the fallen soldiers. You know what I'm saying?
Big Perv.
Yeah, Big Perv. Well, shit, that was Mark Doughboy Hicks. I'm about ready to get out of here. I need to go roll another blunt. I wasn't prepared. I only had that one fat blunt I smoked, but I made it last and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, because I don't want to be too high. I don't want to be too high. But we got a new sponsor that we're going to be announcing soon, so stay tuned for that. We'll be having dope giveaways. And I was thinking, like, maybe people do something like where they got a screenshot that they subscribe, hit the notification bell. Like at least one. You gotta at least like a video and leave a comment and screenshot that to us and send it to the hoodsmokerpodcast@gmail.com and we'll pick a winner. And we got
And
we'll do. Go ahead.
also, if you send in a recorded video message or something like that, we could like throw a couple of those in on some kind of promo thing like that. So anybody sends, any of us, all three of us, whoever, send us a video clip. You just like shouting out the Hood Smoker Podcast, and how you rock with it, what you like about it. Even if something you don't like about it, send it to us.
Yeah, we will be getting exclusive merch made. We're gonna go live when we do it. When we do the giveaway, we'll do it when we hit 5K subs. Right now we're at like 4.2K. So I'm thinking by the next month, early month after that, we should be at 5K at the rate we're going. I just looked at the analytics, and this month is actually doing better than December already. And December was the best month we had so far and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's getting out there. So we appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe because it counts. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do them giveaways, but we're gonna go to the D spot. Shout out to Wood, and we'll go in there live. You know what I'm saying? Let y'all see. You get an exclusive, the first like exclusive Hood Smoker Podcast shirt she will have made, and we got some edibles, shrooms, some other stuff we're gonna talk about, but we're gonna talk about that at a later time. Stay tuned for that, and we can make those announcements.
When everything actually starts, it will be revealed.
Talib can need a bag. Nah, I'm just fucking around, dog. Talib, somebody go check on Talib and shit. You know what I'm saying? Make sure he's alright, dog.
That boy like that. Yeah, come on.
He's having trolling withdrawals right now. He's gonna have to switch over to Facebook, but Facebook more strict. He'll get took down Facebook quick as hell. That video, y'all can still check it out, not just here on the Hood Smoker Podcast, but on Talib Kweli's Facebook page of Telefilm Kweli of the Hood Smoker Podcast of the People's Parody. So make sure you go check that out.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it only makes sense. Just makes sense. Shout out to Talib, dog. Shout out to Kid Vicious for popping on. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. I'm looking forward to that interview and shit. That's gonna be a dope. I'm looking forward to all these interviews. We got some dope shit. Cracker B's gonna be a dope ass interview. You know, I already know the next interview with Mr. CR from LA. You know, we always click with the West Coast extra type. But hold on, let me go ahead and blow up. Was somebody about to come out? I thought somebody was about to come out.
No. No.
All right. Just somebody else. But make sure you go check out Mark Hicks though. Like I put him in our link for us. I gotta put him in the description. But hip hop industry executive Mark Hicks as legal witness. If you read the article, you know what I'm saying. I read the whole article. Go read that. It's pretty dope what he's doing for young artists and shit that's getting caught up in this RICO Act bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I shared I shared it with y'all the Proof Eminem's the MTV story that he's in talking about Proof. That's I'll put those links in the description after the show and shit. But that was pretty dope. And like Biggie, like we've heard that before, and we know that like how Biggie the Gators he was rocking. And that video was from Detroit. You know what I'm saying? That's where you think the Gators came from. We was Gators. Buffs and Gators and shit was a Detroit thing and shit. But, we all know that though. We all know that. But in case some people out there that ain't from Detroit, you know what I'm saying? If you didn't know that, now you know. And BMF had ties with Bad Boy, we know, but I don't want to talk about all that because that type of shit. We gonna have a RICO Act on us and shit because I done said BMF's name and shit or something. You know what I'm saying? But I am gonna hook Mark Hicks up with 049 Gus because he's getting played and shit over some music and shit, trying to say that shit's a gang and it's a rap group. Like that's just crazy how they're doing it now. Like just think back in the days how music was and shit. And I mean they've been doing it, but it's bad now. It's real bad. Like, cause you know, banned by the U.S. 2 Live Crew, the NWA. We all know all those stories, but the body count, all that stuff. But Ice-T, but they doing the RICO Act. They ain't just coming after the songs for the songs and want you to take them down or whatever. They want to actually throw a motherfucker in prison for the rest of his life for that shit. And they're actually doing something positive. If they ain't out on the streets dealing drugs and shit, they're rapping, making money legally. You know what I'm saying? You want to stop that and put them in prison for the rest of their lives? That shit don't make no damn sense.
So they make more money off of them in prison than in the free world making music.
Right, they losing money because they making money and shit. But they spending money. I mean, what the fuck? Y'all feds need to get your shit together, man. Fuck the feds. I don't give a fuck. I say it. Jay Gutta say it. Gutta say my views is my views. They are people that watch the Hood Smoker podcast should already know that I am Mr. Fuck Your Feelings. And somebody go give Benzino a hug too and shit. Somebody go give Zeno a hug. You know what I'm saying? Did you see that video of the Benzino that somebody tagged me in? D Gutta, shout out D Gutta. He's posted on my wall and I shared it and I tagged y'all in it about the Benzino dog.
I'm gonna check it out.
That shit had me rolling. I want me a Benzino dog that looks like a frog. Fuck a regular dog. Give me a Benzino dog. Built like Benzino dog. He was out of nut. I watched that bitch like 10 times in a row, cracking up and shit. That dog, I'm older than them, dog. Them dogs was dope though and shit. Them Benzino dogs. Get you a Benzino dog. Built just like a frog and shit.
Oh man.
Shout out Benzino, dog. Somebody go give Zeno. I'm sure he needs a hug. But much love to
Talib.
Yeah, Talib. Somebody go check on him, dog. Make sure he ain't having trolling withdrawals. That is pretty bad when his shit get. Hey, Brother King X, did anybody hit you up and ask you if Talib's page got took down and what happened or anything, or say anything to you about that? Nah.
No.
Yeah, I only had the normal people, a couple people.
Yeah. I think they all came to me and stuff thinking like
yeah, they was coming at Telefib Kuala and shit. They like, we going after Telefib. We get Telefib at Telefib. What you do to? Where's your brother at Telefib?
He's done more positive things. So why would I? Yeah.
No, maybe. Hey,
me, I don't know. You probably, did you report him?
I never reported him. He shouldn't have fucked with them juggalos, though. You know they relentless. They ain't playing. Them juggalos will beat your Karens, Talib. You better quit playing, dog. Them juggalos don't play. They'll come at you harder than them Karens and shit. He started fucking with them juggalos, and that's when his shit started getting took down.
Yeah. Hey, Blaze. Juggalos.
Juggalos is the king troll, dog. Them motherfuckers know how to troll. You know what I'm saying? They live for that.
Guess who was a juggalo?
Who's that? Oh yeah.
A Wild West, a Young Money artist.
From Canada.
Yeah, Canada. Is that what you talk about, Drake?
From Toronto.
Yeah, Drake.
Drake. Drake.
Okay, they were
Hatchet Man.
He took down his page. I'm just playing.
What you did? What do you think? Did you see that picture of Drake with the Hatchet Man jersey?
Yeah, I seen it.
What did you think about that? How'd you take that? What's your first thought seeing Drake in a Hatchet Man jersey?
I mean, okay. I mean, if he's wearing it for the right reasons, I mean, I don't know.
Does it make you want to go dap it up with Violent J? Like,
all I'm gonna say, I've seen enough people rock a Bob Marley shirt that don't even know a song other than
AC/DC and shit. I be seeing like young YouTubers and shit busting that. I'm like, why are they wearing? You know, they ain't never heard of that shit or something, like some old ass.
For mine, it's like a Bob Marley shirt, and then it's like, oh yeah, Exodus,
But Drake's a public figure like that, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, he did that. I think he might have done it out of like some kind of shock thing, like I don't know, or maybe he just liked how the jersey.
Yeah. Can I say mixed feelings?
Yeah. I don't know, but some attention. It did go viral. Maybe he was trying to get. Could you imagine Drake performing at the gathering, dog? This is somewhere that DJ Quick got shit thrown at him. E40 had shit thrown at him. Who else? Coolio. But there was a few artists like legends, and then to have Drake there, what you think they gonna do to Drake?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was most expected, with the tequila incident. That was more expected. But still,
they had Waka
time though. Yeah.
There ain't nothing happened with Waka Flocka. They say he rocking.
And then Bushwick, when he was there, he went off on the juggler. He didn't even perform. He was yelling at them all he had a sword. He did some crazy. Shout out, man. Rest in peace, Bushwick. Shout out to his son. His son still raps and shit. We need to reach out to him. I'd love to have him as a guest.
Too.
That'd be dope. But shout out to Mark Hicks. Shout out Highland Park. Shout out to everybody that tuned in. I see you, comic. He said he's coming back here in March and shit. Coming back to Detroit and shit. So
comic. My time in the park. Yeah.
Salute.
And speaking of the Gators.
Oh, you got the Gators. Blatonio got the Gators. Shout out D. Cochran. She said, what up to everybody and shit. Appreciate everyone that tapped in. Can't see everybody and shit. We at that 3-hour mark. Anything y'all want to say? Brother King X, Blatonio Todd?
I just want to definitely thank Doughboy for coming on with us. Shout out to everybody who rocks with us, everybody who tapped in, tuned in. Don't want to forget nobody, so that's why I'm not gonna just name drop by the end. But much love.
Brother King X.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out to everybody that rock with us on a regular basis. Everybody that tuned in tonight. Much love to Mark Hicks. You know what I'm saying? My hands, we go way back. Way back.
That's dope. I know you be knowing damn near all the guests we got and shit. I be booking them, but then Brother King X, I already know him.
Oh, yeah.
They got a story to tell with Brother King X and shit. The Hood Smoker Podcast, y'all. We got who's next? Oh yeah, we back to LA with it. Mr. C.
Right here. CDs.
Yeah. And
much love, y'all, everybody. We about to get up out of here. I'm gonna play the intro for the outro and shit, since we ain't played the intro at the beginning of the show and shit. But shout out to Kid Vicious again for tapping in with us and shit. We got. Make sure you go over there if you on Facebook. You go there. Yeah, shout out to the Alien Gang. You know what it is. Salute. Shout out Voice 59. Shout out Monte Cristo. Shout out Black Jesus. Shout out everybody. Dice, we shouted them out already. Everybody. Shout out to everyone we rock with, though. So,
even my brother.
Yeah. Somebody check on Talib. He might be having trolling Instagram withdrawal or something and shit. He's over there. His Twitter fingers are going super crazy. He's like, damn, they took me off Twitter and they took me off Instagram.
Make sure you get tackled.
He's gonna be on TikTok in a second, but TikTok don't.
They gotta win an Insta pack.
Talib should just make his own social media site, low key and shit, like Donald Trump did. He made his own shit because he got kicked off Twitter and shit. Talib should just make his own shit so him and his Karens can sit there and talk they shit. You know what I'm saying? Talk about people. Call them shit they ain't and all that, and have as much fun with it as they want and shit. But yeah, someone check on Talib. We're concerned. But you can check out hit up Telefib. He might know where he's at.
Yeah, no.
All right, much love, y'all. I'll holler at y'all in a minute. Much love, everybody that's tuned in. Salute.
Oh, yeah.
We out.
Salute. Yeah. Salute. Good night.
We out. Peace.
What up, dog? Welcome to the Hood Smoker Podcast, the hottest #1 podcast based out of Detroit, Michigan. And now, with your hosts, Jay Gutta, Brother King X, Blatonio Todd, and the rest of the Hood Smoker Squad. We don't do no Vlad stuff. We don't do no Adam stuff. We keep packing in the legends, respect them, and keep adding up. So pack a blunt or two, maybe grab a brew and a snack for you, and leave behind your attitude and get ready as we snap into